and welcome to
Totally
Totally
booked
Booked
right
Right
now.
Now.
Well,
We're
it
so
always
good at
ends
it.
up I know, it ends up better than we think it does every time. It's actually
Yeah,
not too
yeah.
terrible. Ever. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, welcome all. Today we are covering the book Love Lettering by Kate Clayborn. We read this book for book club.
Yes, we
Mixed
did.
reviews.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun.
It's
Yeah, it's a good book.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna tell you all about it and you can form your own opinion on what
Yeah,
you think, I
yeah.
suppose, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, let's just get started. The beginning of the book, no prologue. Yes, love that. We meet Meg Macworth, who is a calligrapher. Would you call her a calligrapher?
I don't
Something
know.
like
I
that?
jokingly a calligrapher for hire? A
Yeah.
hand lettering specialist? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
One
Yeah,
of
she
those
does.
One of those cool people you see, like, randomly on your Instagram feed that are really good at writing and have
Yeah,
perfect penmanship, and they make cool signs and that kinda stuff is what I think she does.
ASMR
Mhm.
lettering for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
she does hand lettering projects for clients. She's currently working on a custom planner while manning the front desk of this Brooklyn papery that she used to contract out of, but she's still friends with the owner, so she's just helping out. The year before, Meg's business, which is known for its whimsical, buoyant, frolicsome style, was featured in the New York Times. The
Fancy.
shop, oh, I know, right?
Mhm.
Like that is a big deal. She's probably really excited
Mhm.
about that. The shop is slow right now because it's a Sunday near closing, but Meg's kind of wishing it was busier so she could be distracted. She has this looming deadline that's stressing her out, and she's dealing with a creative block. She's also happy to be out of her apartment because she and her roommate slash best friend named Sybil, but she calls her Sibby for short, are going through something. We're not sure what, but
Mhm.
seems bad. Meg is facing sort of an existential crisis right now, feeling unsure of herself and if she can be successful. And then a man walks into the shop. His name is Reid Sutherland. Reid is a hunk, so Meg remembers him, even though she only met him once a year ago. He'd been there with his fiancee, Avery, to finalize all the hand-lettered stuff for their wedding. So Meg was doing anything that needed letters, the save the dates, the invitations, the place cards, the program, which seems crazy, like
It's
so
a
much
lot
work and
for
repetitive, like over and over and over, the same thing.
especially for, like, save the dates, especially because what if it's, like, 200 people that you're inviting? So you're making
Yeah,
200 save the dates, 200 custom invitations, and then if you're doing place cards or the signs
right.
at the just insane amount of work. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, a wedding program? That seems excessive. I'm sure
It
this
does.
wedding was giant, if that's
Yes,
the case.
and very expensive, and maybe that's why they're just like, "Eh, we don't care. We want all
Right,
of
right.
this to be
Yeah.
uniform and all look pretty like this." Yes.
Mhm. Meg had been contracting out of Cecilia's shop for a while. That's the shop owner at that point a year ago when she does this wedding. And doing this kind of work for weddings is what made her business take off and what made her popular and how she ended up getting featured in the New York Times article. Meg remembers her and Reid's first meeting and how different her life was then. She and Sibby were still getting along. She didn't have this pressure, etc., etc. Meg is also weirdly judgmental of Reid. She judged his clothing so harshly when she first met him.
Mhm.
He's wearing business casual, and she calls it weekend stick up your ass. I was like, or what? I'd be like, wow, he's dressed so nice.
I know. You're like,
What
"Oh,
do
he
you want
looks."
him to wear?
I know. Does he need to look like a slob? Well, then it kind of made me wonder what Avery looked like because she's never really overly described in the book, but in this initial meeting, it's like,
Yeah,
if Avery sounds like this super posh, like,
right.
woman who's gonna be spending a ton of money on her wedding, so you would think that she probably and they live in New York, so
Mm,
it's like dressed to impress. I don't know, it just seems like very weird thing to judge of
yeah,
him
it's it,
particularly for.
it's so
Yeah.
weird. I mean, we don't know this yet, but like Avery is one of those people that wears like all white.
Yes.
And he works in, like, f on Wall Street, so it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
of course.
But you're gonna be
Anyway,
dressed up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, so tonight, though, Reid is not wearing business casual, he's wearing, well, he's wearing more casual clothing, I like jeans or something, and she's like, "Huh, maybe his life is pretty different now too," but then Reid greets Meg with "Good evening," and she's like, I guess he still has to stick up his ass. Who says good evening, your granddad?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. That's a totally normal thing to say." Like, and I was like, "You're making me not like you." I felt like I didn't like Meg.
I know. It was almost immediate that because this is our first scene that we see her interacting with another person, and she's just very
Yeah.
judgy and pretty rude, like immediately to this guy. And it was just it didn't endear me to her. And it took me a while to kind of recover from this first chapter of
Agreed.
her attitude for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
yeah. It's like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
So Meg assumes that Reid's there to get Avery a traditional first wedding anniversary gift of paper. And Meg feels relief, thinking there is an explanation for him being there. It's not because he knows. There's no way he can know the reason why his wedding was the last wedding Meg did. It was like, she loved him or something. Like, what
No,
is
weird.
happening? You met him one time. Okay. So Reid congratulates Meg on her success and says Avery is very proud she hired Meg when she did. Like they got in on the ground floor. So then Meg asks Reid if he wants her to design something for Avery, and he says, I'm not looking for a shop girl.
Which this
I
was
was like,
so funny to me. So that I was like, oh, maybe she is justified in being a little judgmental of him because shop girl is such a strange thing to like. It is an old timey weird thing to call somebody, right? Like
yeah.
I'm like,
And
I've
I'm
not heard this
sorry.
term in
Yeah.
a movie outside of like 1940s films. Like this is
And I'm
weird.
sorry
Okay.
that you came into a place of business and I'm behind the counter, like asking you how I can assist you, sir. Like, what the fuck?
So it was bizarre. It was just strange to me. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, so Meg's kind of like, okay, so what do you want? Reid pulls out one of his and Avery's wedding programs. And Meg's like, oh, fuck. And Meg also notices that Reid's not wearing a wedding ring. And he asks, maybe you can tell me how you knew my marriage would fail. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, bum bum.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on? So the program is themed after A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is inspired by Avery's first date with Reid. They went to Shakespeare in the Park. It was very whimsical. The program is forest and fairies. It's like it has ornate lettering, illustrative details, overlaying, like weaved in, whatever. Meg remembers everyone loving the theme except for Reid. Meg tries to act like she doesn't know what Reid's talking about, which I'm like, good for you. Gaslight him. I was the same.
I
But
don't
she's
know.
not good at lying. Yeah. So, and then Reid says there's a code in this program, a pattern. Meg is suddenly grateful that the shop's empty because she's like, if this ever got out, my business would be ruined. And I'm like, would it though? Okay, I don't, whatever. Reid points out all the letters in the program that are slightly different, and all of those letters spell out the word mistake. It's pretty subtle. I feel like if you really buckled down, you could have gotten away with the gaslighting.
Well, and I was like, I almost wish that there was a picture because in this book, they do,
Yeah.
even in the e-reader version, there are some parts in this very first couple of chapters where she's talking about letters. Like it's her obsession is letters, and we'll get to this later as well. But I'm like, I want to see a picture of this to really see how either obvious or not obvious this was. Because I was like, was it every single letter was huge that spelled out mistake, or was it just like
Right.
randomly sprinkled throughout and there was other letters that kind of also included these themes, or was it really
Yeah.
I wanted to know, was it that obvious? How close did you have to look? I mean, she made it sound like it was pretty subtle, but he realized it. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she kind of explains too that, again, we just said the program was ornate and lettered. There were little fairies and stuff, but the letters that spell mistake had like an actual fairy on them, and maybe the other didn't. I also wonder if they were in order or if
Like,
it was a scramble. Because if it was a scramble, it's in the bag, babe. Like, they have no argument at all. Like,
no. Yeah.
so, okay, questions.
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it. I want to know. Yeah.
So Meg does continue to try to gaslight Reid. Good for you, but he's not buying it. And he's like, he knows patterns, and this is a pattern. Meg's like, how? Aren't you a banker? She has a vague memory of Avery saying Reid worked on Wall Street. Reid replies that he's a quaint, Quant, which is someone who creates, quote, math models for investments, risk management, numbers code. You know what I mean, end quote. No one knows what you mean, Reid. Like, we actually don't. Just explain nothing.
I have no idea. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meg doesn't really know what to say, so she goes with, I'm sorry to hear about your divorce. And Reid tells her there was no divorce. They called off the wedding. But don't worry, Meg, it's not because of the wedding program, or it's not only because of the wedding program, but Reid just wants to know how Meg knew. Meg thinks to herself, there's a lot of things that she could say. She could say, I was talking about myself. It was always a mistake for me to do weddings because hiding messages in her lettering is an old habit that she has. Sometimes she doesn't even realize she's doing it. I don't understand that either.
Me neither. I was like, this is a strange quirk, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, is it like a tick? Like, do you have to touch the door handle 3 times when you leave your house? Also, like, what is this weird,
Right.
like, and what do you mean hidden? Like, how many hidden messages? I wanted to know more about what
Yeah.
other hidden message. I just didn't really quite understand what all that meant, what context it meant, because we don't get that explained really too much either later. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
There are a few times where she kind of talks about other ones. So if we remember, we'll bring those up so you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
know examples. But she's thinking if she says all of that to him, that would be a lie, or at least half of it would be a lie. Meg then thinks about the trajectory of her life if she does lie to Reid right now. She'll go home and tell Sibby, "You won't believe what happened today." Whoops. Except she can't tell Sibby because Sibby barely acknowledges Meg anymore, except to get half the rent and utilities. And I was like, what did you do? I in
I
no way think this is not your fault. Like,
I know, I'm like, you are a super judgmental person. Like from our first interaction with you, that was my immediate thought too. I was
yeah.
like, well, what'd you do to piss her off? Like, what'd you do
Right,
to your
right, right.
roommate? Honestly. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. She's like, then Reid will leave, and then Meg will stare down at her boring planner commission that she's working on, and she'll keep dreading the deadline that's coming up, and she'll just continue on in this depressive state, all while wondering if Reid will spill her secret. So instead, Meg asks if she can buy Reid a coffee, and they can talk about it. So she closes up shop, and they walk to an espresso bar a few blocks away. It's obviously a pretty awkward walk, but Reid does offer. He offers her jacket because it's like chilly outside, and she says, "Don't be nice to me." Like, what the fuck? These
She's crazy. She's weird.
yeah. So, yeah, in the cafe, they're sitting and Reid's just very stiff and awkward. And he orders tea because he says it's too late for coffee. And then Meg orders an espresso, like basically out of spite. I was like, I mean, this feels real. But I was also like,
Yeah.
get over
I mean, she
yourself.
did say, like, maybe we can go have a coffee. It would be, she was probably like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
I need to save face a little bit in this
Right, right.
situation
So
and
she's like,
actually
I'm going to
order
get the
coffee. Yeah.
most highly caffeinated thing on the menu.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's time to bite the bullet. So Meg tells Reid she doesn't know if she has an answer that will be satisfying to him about why she did this. She tells Reid that when they met for the consultation meeting or approval meeting or whatever it was, he seemed really absent and unhappy, and Avery also seemed unhappy. This was the first time that Meg had noticed Avery being unhappy. She never seemed that way when it was just Avery and Meg meeting. So um, Reid didn't like anything Avery picked, but wouldn't share his opinions. He hid them. And this reminded Meg of her own parents. And I mean, this does feel valid. That's not a good feeling if, like, this dude has not been there the whole time and then he shows up and is like, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah. 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 Agreed.
So she calls it a practiced disconnection, like her parents had. Meg says that Avery was disappointed and she wanted Reid to have an opinion. And then Reid says, I disappointed her often. Meg tries to apologize, being like, I made assumptions. But I guess that's not even really an apology, though. Like, she never actually says, I'm sorry. But I also am like, sorry, not sorry. Like, who cares that you did this? Like,
right. Exactly. Yeah.
But Reid cuts her off and says, you didn't misunderstand anything, basically. And Reid says he just went along because it took less effort. And Meg says that she didn't intend to hide the letters in the program. Sometimes it just happens and she realizes it later. Meg thought she fixed this problem of her hiding messages in her lettering when she stopped doing weddings, but she started to slip again recently.
So I would like, just some more examples of this because I want to know what she's hiding in things. Is it more messages like this is a mistake? Or what other messages would be like,
Right. Or maybe she's just getting the urge. Okay, I guess I'll just jump ahead a little bit because she does talk to her dad later and she writes out congratulations and she thinks to herself, she just makes the LIAR. She spells out liar. She just makes the little loop of them in cursive go a little bit further down. Who's ever going to notice? And they're not, congratulations does not, you can't just take liar out of congratulations. Those letters are mixed up.
They are.
So no one's ever going to know that. Anyway.
I know it'd be like
super subtle.
RALI, Raleigh.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just kind of like this. Anyway. Yeah. It's just dramatic.
It is. Yes.
So Meg then tells Reid that she loved doing this job for their wedding. She loved how it was a tribute to their first date. And Reid interrupts her and he's like, what are you talking about? That wasn't their first date. Avery's father arranged their first date, and it was just at a coffee shop. What?
So, I know. I was like, what the fuck was Avery talking about then? Like, was she just trying
Yeah.
to more romanticize their relationship to a stranger? Or did she just be like, I like this theme and I'm going to make it seem like this is a couple thing, but really it's just me? It was
Right. I'm sure she
funny.
was just trying to make it seem a little more romantic and, like, how embarrassing that your dad set you up.
Arranged your marriage. Yes,
Right,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Turns out Avery's father is also Reed's boss. Ew.
Yep.
But yeah, but luckily nothing bad happened to Reed after they broke up because Reed is valuable to Avery's dad, and the split between Avery and Reed was amicable. Reed then apologizes to Meg for calling her a shop girl earlier, and tells Meg that he thinks she's very talented. Meg's sort of disbelieving about this, but Reed tells her that he was affected by her letters. They felt like numbers to him, something he could read. They felt like a sign. So Meg can understand this because when she first moved to New York and started really paying attention to her surroundings, she found hand-drawn letter signs all over the city, and that's sort of how she created a relationship with New York and made it feel like home. Meg tells Reed she won't do anything like this again. Okay. And Reed assures her that he has no interest in talking about this ever again. So great. Same page. Meg then asks why he brought this up now. Like, why did he wait a whole year?
Right, right.
And he's like, I had other important things to do. This was lower down on my to-do list. And then he mentions that he's running out of time. So, of course, Meg's like, oh my God, is he dying? But no, he just says he's leaving New York by the end of summer, probably. And Reed says he hates New York and he's not sorry to leave. Meg's like, why? And Reed says it's not an easy place for him to understand. There haven't been many signs for him here. And then he tells Meg that he's grateful for her sign, he supposes, and they shake hands and he leaves. And then
Okay.
it's like, okay.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting. Yes.
yeah. Also, I was just thinking how confusing kind of this all feels, or like, what did Meg do to her roommate? What is this
Right.
message stuff going on? And then, like, why is Reed so weird? I was like, this isn't a psychological thriller. This is just a straight on
No.
romance, but it does
Yes.
feel like, oh my God, something ominous is happening. No, it's not.
It is. You're just like, okay, we've got some pretty serious plot points that are going to be coming up here. Something serious has happened. That's how I felt too. I was like,
Yes.
ooh, this is going to get real tricky. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Meg wakes up the next morning feeling slightly hungover because she stayed up really late trying to keep working, and she had that espresso so late at night, so she couldn't fall asleep.
I was like, oh, being petty does not always pay off. You
Yeah.
know, like, I'm going to order this coffee, but then I can't sleep at all. And now
Yeah,
I'm a
right.
zombie the next day. Whoopsie.
Yeah, she was really just trying to stop thinking about Reed. That's another reason why she worked so hard. And the meeting that they had, Sibby is still home at the apartment, which is strange. So Meg leaves her room and they have a stilted conversation. Meg's hopeful that maybe they're about to have a real talk and work out what's going on between them, but that does not happen. Instead, Sibby tells Meg that she's moving in with her boyfriend Elijah at the end of the summer. Meg is completely blindsided by this. And I don't, Sibby and Elijah have only been dating for like 3 months too.
Yeah,
Which,
very quick.
I mean,
Which that
yeah.
happens, but
Yep. It's, like, weird, but it's also not weird, I guess.
yeah.
Sibby is like, "You can run your business out of this apartment. Like, not sure if you'll take on another roommate, but I wanted to give you enough time to do that." And Meg is just sort of incredulous. Sibby doesn't even know anything about Meg's business anymore because they never talk. And now this deadline that Meg's been worrying about is absolutely so much more important than it was before because she's going to need that money to be able to make rent. So Meg just like can't believe this is happening. And she and Sibby moved to New York and have lived together since they were 19. They've done everything together. This whole conversation, it does feel very transactional. You know, you can feel the distance between them. It feels like a roommate conversation, not a best friend conversation.
Yeah. And this was kind of sad to me. Like, it did make me kind of have a little bit more empathy for Meg, even though I was still a little, she's like kind of strange, but she
Yeah.
really did seem baffled. She really had no idea why there was weird tension between them. And first I was just thinking, is she super obtuse? Does she just not have any like very good social cues? Like, what's going on with this? And I felt bad for her though, because she really did seem blindsided by this whole moving out and just, yeah, here you can take over and the lease and maybe hopefully you can find a new
Yeah.
roommate, whatever you want to do. Just I'm out. So very
Right.
strange. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So Meg just can't be there anymore. She's gotta leave. She's also, she's like, "I gotta fill in at the shop again. Bye." And Sibby's like, "It'll be fine." Meg's angered by this though, because that's how she feels like Sibby's managed the distance between them, like, kept it so friendly, like Sibby doesn't even notice that anything's changed, so it doesn't give them an opportunity to actually hash it out.
Mhm.
And Meg thinks that Sibby understands why this tactic works so well on Meg and why Meg won't push back about it. So Meg is now reminiscing. We're getting exposition. I don't know.
Mhm.
Books do this. Meg used to hate New York too. When she was 13, her 8th grade class got split into 2 groups to go on a field trip. Half the class would take a 4-day trip to Washington, D.C., and the other half would take a 4-day trip to New York City. Little 8th grade Meg was really stressing out about this. It's also interesting to me that they split the class in half. It's like, why not you just all go to one place?
That would be so much easier and smarter to do. I mean, it would be
Right.
I almost wish that this one part would have just been like, they were deciding between this location, and then they decided on this one, and that's why I
Yeah,
was bummed or something. Anyway, yeah.
right, but whatever. But Meg did not wanna get picked for the New York trip, which, of course, she gets picked for the New York trip. She's just scared. She's scared of New York, she's scared of big cities. She's never left Ohio. Like, she's never really gone anywhere except Cincinnati to visit her grandparents, which is also in Ohio, just in case you didn't know that.
Yes.
When Meg got home and told her parents, neither of them really registered how distraught she was, and they just did what they always did, which was take up diametrically opposed positions. And I quote, her mom was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they would pick such an unsafe location for a field trip." And her dad just like rolled his eyes and is like, "Don't be a baby," basically, which don't appreciate
Yeah.
either of those reactions.
No, not at all. And I wanna just put a pin in that and try to remember to myself that I'd
Mm.
like to discuss that later when we get to some more stuff in the book. Because
Later. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, yes. So it seems like it kind of turned into a fight a little bit. Meg mentions slamming cabinets and stuff. So her parents don't have a happy marriage.
Mm-mm.
That's what we're
No.
taking away from this. Just a stressful situation for Meg. So she says that she ended this whole thing with reassuring her mom about how many chaperones would be there and telling her dad how excited she was.
Yes. So she seems to be just a peacekeeper in maybe multiple aspects of her life between her parents while she was growing up. And now instead of saying anything to Sibby or trying to kind of figure things out, she's just keeping the status quo of everything just being calm instead of trying to talk things out or have any type of differencing of opinion. Like she's terrified to kind of confront
Yeah,
people about
right.
anything.
She's
Yeah.
not good at confrontation.
No.
Maybe that's why that's why she hides messages in her letters.
Yes.
Um,
It's her
so
only form of rebellion that she can have
yeah,
for herself.
totally. So then a few months later on the bus to New York, she has her sketch pad and 2 full bottles of Pepto-Bismol. And like a travel money pocket, like, to protect you against pickpocketing that you, like, wear under your clothes, which is so funny to me. And that is when she met Sybil Mikaluki, which is Sibby. Yeah. Sibby was new. She moved from Chicago, and she was 100 times cooler than anyone else. She'd been to New York, like, a lot of times. It's like quoting her because her dad is an architect, and she wanted to be on Broadway, and her parents are so supportive about her dreams. And so on the trip, Meg and Sibby become best friends. Meg's had friends before, but it seems like she was a cautious child who sort of kept everyone arm's distance, so this is a big deal to have a real friend. Even their new friendship doesn't soften the blow, though, of Meg's anxiety while she's on this trip. She says that every time she was out in the open, she was afraid of being mugged, which, like, when Sibby, yeah, I'm sure somebody's gonna mug a 13-year-old with all the
Right.
money they have. when,
Uh,
when Sibby moved to New York right after graduation, Meg didn't even think about going with her. And then Meg had a scholarship to a school close to home. She was just gonna like tough it out with her parents until she could save enough money to move out, whatever. But then everything fell apart. We don't know what happened, but Meg and her parents got in a huge fight, and some big secret was revealed to Meg. So Meg moved to New York with Sibby and got a fresh start. At first, Meg really stuck with Sibby, but when Meg was finally ready to go out on her own and start exploring the city, it was signs and letters that taught her how to love it and make it her new home.
and just that little aspect of it, made me think of just how huge New York City is, and for her like creative side, just how much inspiration she probably was able to
Yeah.
draw from walking around. It's just so many different signs, and it's just big and loud, and it's ever changing too. So you could,
Hmm.
kind of walk down one street, and maybe a year later it's totally different
Yeah, totally.
between maybe restaurants or whatever else. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking too, I was like, hand lettered signs. I feel like I never
Right.
see any, but maybe I have to start paying attention more.
Maybe we're not urban enough for that.
Maybe. Yeah. So after her weird conversation with Sibby about moving out. Meg takes a really long, meandering route to work. We're back in the present. So that she can try to find signs and letters to look for and make her feel better. Cue the montage of her walking through the city, looking at a bunch of signs in different neighborhoods and noticing like what font they're in and stuff. She's always talking about fonts. She also keeps thinking about Reid, and she's like, there are signs, you just don't know how to read them. And then a few blocks away from the shop, she has an idea. Light bulb. She decides she's going to do a series of walks inspired by the city's best hand-lettered signs, hoping this will inspire her and help her get unblocked. Also, social media fodder. Meg realizes that she wants someone maybe to walk around with her, but there's not really anyone else she can ask. Meg's unlocking the shop and sort of thinking about this. She sees a flash out of the corner of her eye, and it's one of Reid's business cards. A sign. And she's like, this is crazy, but I'm going to ask Reid. Be like, what? You just had a horrible interaction with him.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good plan. And not only that, but when I was like looking back and thinking about it, I was like, if he was in his weekend clothes that you are claiming are so different than his stick up the ass business clothes, do you really think he'd be carrying around a business card with him?
Yeah.
Listen, maybe, I don't know, that the whole thing was just very convenient for her to have a way to contact him again. Yeah. So. But why did she want to? That's a great question, because you're right.
Yeah, right.
It was a terrible little interaction they had with each other. So
desperate times. So Meg emails him, but for the next 6 days, Meg is just waiting for the email notification sound on her phone indicating that Reid has answered her, which that is a terrible feeling to wait for someone to respond.
Oh, yeah. It's rough.
In the meantime, she starts mapping out some of the routes she wants to try to take around the city. Finally, Reid does respond to her on Friday at 5:01 p.m. and she thinks, of course. I don't know what this means. What do you mean, of course? What? Like, how is that indicative of anything? I'm like, is it because
so structured, like his 9 to 5, he cannot possibly respond outside of like only outside of work hours for personal business or something.
I can only conduct personal business from Friday at 5:01 p.m. until Sunday at like 9 p.m. or something. Yeah.
You're generous. I bet he's going to bed at 8 p.m.
Yeah. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay. So they arrange to meet at the promenade on Sunday at 4 o'clock. So now it's Sunday at 3. And Meg is antsy. Meg's at the shop, avoiding Sibby and Elijah, who are at the apartment watching a movie. But she's so anxious that she's shaking her leg. It's moving the whole table. And another shop employee, her name is Lachelle, asks Meg, she's like, why are you so nervous? You have a date or something? Meg's like, how about this? No, it's not a date. Luckily, Meg's saved by Cecilia, the owner of the shop, who tells Meg that she got a phone call about Meg yesterday. It was from a new client who's desperate to hire Meg. Meg's relieved because at first she was afraid that maybe Reid called to rat her out. Whatever. Cecilia thinks.
I know. It's like, say what?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I've thought I was going to get in trouble about stuff. And you're just you're irrational. I remember when we first moved here, I lied about my car registration. I mean, I'm implicating myself right now, but like
it's too late. You've already paid. You're fine.
Yeah, I know, for like 6 months already, and I was like, I just moved here, so I wouldn't, like have a problem. Then I got a phone call, and I was like, oh my gosh, the DMV calling me to get me in trouble. I'm getting arrested. But it was like a job interview, and I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That panic when you're like, oh no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with this. Okay.
So Meg can relate.
Yes.
Cecilia thinks this new client is someone famous, but the client didn't give a name, only left the name and number of her assistant. Ooh, fancy. Meg's not sure if she's going to take the job, though. She also hasn't told anyone else about this other potential job she has lined up. We still aren't really sure what it is, but it's that whole project that's making her blocked, and she's really stressing about it. Meg gets up to go meet Reid. She purposefully wore a dress with no patterns in case they make the situation with Reid worse, who will probably be back to the debate team thing today. What the fuck are you talking about?
I was like, are you just not wearing a patterned shirt because you don't want to like make implications that he's a pattern observer and he can pick things up? I don't understand what that means. So I'm like, are you in the most boring plain Jane uniform colored dress? Like I don't understand.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't understand your brain, but you do you. Or Reid being like, you're only supposed to wear practical clothing. Dresses
Or
with
why
patterns are
way
offensive
too
to
loud.
me.
Mhm.
Right.
It's showing way too much personality for me. I don't approve. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just like the way he dresses completely dictates his personality in her mind. So I just, I'm like, I don't want to defend a man. Don't make me feel like I need to defend him. That's annoying to me. Okay.
I
Anyway,
know. She's being
yeah,
so judgy. Just
I'm sure
like,
there's so many valid reasons not to like him. Okay, let's use those.
yes. Yes.
Anyway, also Meg really seems to continue to hold herself at an arm's distance from everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Oh,
even
from
those
like the girls in the shop. I got totally distracted by this
gr-
close conversation.
I know she's just super afraid to open up to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand how she's lived in New York City for all this time. She has no other friends besides Sibby after like
Right.
6
As like a
years
single person.
essentially.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, she
it's
does
interesting.
talk about how all of her friends are kind of tied up with Sibby. And I think she's just being like,
Yeah.
can't even imagine reaching out to them when I feel this way. Like, I think she's just depressed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. And you catastrophize things, or you think people will pick sides, or you think maybe since Sibby's being weird and you're connected
Right.
to the majority of her friends that they wouldn't pick your side kind of thing, or I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Feel bad for her a little bit with that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as she's leaving the shop, again, she looks at Cecilia and Lachelle, thinking about how they're such good friends. They hang out. They both have a lot in common. They're both married and have kids. And Meg feels like she can't talk to them at all. Even small talk is dangerous.
Why?
Um,
Why?
I think it's about this. Like she can't tell them how she knows Reid. Like she might let something
Oh.
slip if she's
Mhm.
like, I'm meeting this guy, and then just word
Like
vomit,
if
I guess. Like if she
yeah,
lets
or it's
any
like
information out, all of it's gonna come out or something.
mm, yeah. Yeah.
I don't yeah, I mean, I feel like you can just brush off how you know someone so easily though, being like, "Oh, we just met. He
I know.
walked into
Why do
the
you have
shop the other day." Like you don't have to I know you could just leave out that like you designed his wedding program a year ago.
exactly, you don't need to give first, middle, and last name and, blood type or
Right,
anything.
right.
You can just be like, "Oh, I just met him randomly." Like,
Yeah,
why does it
right.
have to be a big deal? It's literally the first time you're hanging out. You can lie about anything with him. What if you don't ever see him again
Yeah.
after this? Anyway.
Right, yeah, it's just okay. Whatever, I don't get it. But Meg just she feels really lonely right now. And that's the moral of this story.
Yeah.
She gets to the promenade. Phew. We're moving on. She's 6 minutes early, but of course Reed's already there. She's
She's
like, of course
not
he
happy
is.
about
He's ruining that. Yeah, I'm like, okay. We get another outfit description. Quote, he's definitely not doing business casual, wearing instead something similar to what I saw him in a week ago. Sneakers, jeans, jacket. Maybe this is his Sunday outfit. It's probably labeled that way in his extremely anal retentive closet. What? What
What?
are you talking about? Just like legitimately pissing me off. I'm like,
Meg, stop judging so
yeah,
hard. But then
like
also, why are you even
yeah,
concerned about are you judging him? And so then therefore you're making the connection that you think he's judging you, and that's why you're all concerned about wearing something without a pattern? I don't get it.
right.
Yeah.
It's just okay. Like, all right, yeah, crazy. So Meg does note though how handsome Reid is. Like, okay, his face looks like the word swoon, and then she starts using this one word over and over again.
It's called swoonch, like
Yeah,
swoon with an sh on the end, and it's
yeah.
maybe
Anytime
one
he
of the
gives
most
her like a
like a
certain
s-
smile. Mm, mm. It's
I
like,
yeah, it's like I don't know. I hate that word though.
yeah,
Did not I did not appreciate the invention of that word and then how much it was used throughout the book.
yeah. Anytime Reid gives her this little, I'm imagining like a half smile where like the corner of his
Like a
mouth is just like
smirk, like a
turned up a little bit. Yeah.
mhm, yes.
So Meg starts to pitch her idea to Reid. He's like, why have you brought me here? And she's like, I know you're looking for a sign to stay in New York. Do you want to walk around New York and look at hand lettered signs with me? And he's like, I didn't mean an actual sign. She's like, I know, but Meg then tells Reid that she has a project with a deadline in July and she's having trouble focusing on her work lately. She can't even say the word blocked out loud. That's how blocked she is. Also, while they're talking, Meg says the word mistake in a normal sentence. And then she gets all awkward thinking he's mad at her for saying that word. He's like, it's okay. It's a common
It's a
word.
common
Yeah, you can say the word mistake. Like, yeah. And I was like, I will harp on this forever. I will die on this hill. It's like, sure, it's a little awkward, but it's like, why are you making this such a big deal? You're not the reason they broke up. You just like
right.
drew fairies on how many letters are in
Letters.
mistake? Whatever. 7
Yeah.
letters.
And and like you said, he's already said that is not the reason that they ended things at all. So just stop. Chill. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. Then Meg tells Reid more about the project that is coming up. It's for this company that's a big brand for major craft retailers. It's called Make It Happen, but happen with a Y, like happy.
Happy in.
Yeah, happy in. It's not an easy word to read. So, big brand for major craft retailers, they make build your own planner materials. So, her designs could be produced in bulk. And Meg's supposed to produce 3 treatments for year planner pages, which I wasn't sure. Like, is she supposed to treat like 3 different planners, like a whole 12-month thing? That's what let's assume that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like an interview or an audition where other people will also be submitting ideas. So, the company's going to pick one of them. So, then Reid thinks that Meg's maybe asking him about business stuff. And he's like, I'm not a small business consultant. She's like, we're getting off topic. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, this whole thing, walking around looking at signs, is for Meg to get ideas. And Reid doesn't understand why Meg would want him involved. Meg's obviously not going to tell Reid that she found his business card and it felt like a sign. That's crazy talk.
But he did not question how she got his contact information at all.
Yeah.
Why did you send?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
guess
think
that
he
is a good
even,
point.
because it
Maybe
would be
he's
his
like,
business email. I mean, I guess unless that's like company-wide information. For example, like if you could go on the company website and just find that person's contact, like direct number and email. I don't know, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he doesn't
Yeah, I didn't think about that
question it.
either.
Yeah. So just interesting.
Right. And Meg's like, oh my God, I want company. Like, do you want to do this or not? And Reid says, someone did tell me recently I ought to try keeping my mind occupied. So Reid agrees to do it. Yay. All right. So Reid and Meg meet up. Meg's made a little list of addresses for the path she wants to take. It's hard to know where you might find a hand-lettered sign, though, so it could be hit or miss. Meg's also lamenting the fact that she has 2 pimples on her forehead that she woke up with. LOL.
So
real.
relatable.
Yeah.
So relatable. You're like, oh my gosh, you've got something, a date night. You've got something planned. You're seeing friends. You're going on a trip or a meeting at work, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I've got Mount Vesuvius on my face. God.
Right. Yeah. Reid's wearing a suit today. She doesn't really give him shit about that in her head, but she does call him Wall Street Reid. He's fancy right now. Someone bumps into Meg, and Reid calls him an asshole. And Meg is shocked that Reid said a bad word. And he's like, I'm sorry I said that.
Excuse me. Pardon me, madam. My apologies.
Pardon.
Pardon.
Yes. Reid also touches Meg's elbow to help steady her after the bumping incident. And she realizes that her elbow is an erogenous zone she never knew about. Gentle reminder, Reid is hot. That comes up a lot.
Yes. And apparently she doesn't care too much about what he's wearing if he'll touch her elbow for, a couple times. She's like, forget about everything else. Touch my elbow.
Touch my elbow. They start their adventure. It goes well at first. They find the first 3 signs. They take photos of them. But then sometime around the 6th sign, things start to go downhill. They can't find a couple. One's faded. It's starting to get more crowded. Meg's starting to get flustered, which that's very real too when you've like dragged someone along and things are not going as planned. And you're like, oh my God, are you having fun? I'm sorry. So they're at a sign where there's a bunch of construction going on and it's really loud. They have to shout to hear each other. And the construction scaffolding is blocking most of the sign. And then it starts pouring rain and they have to run under an awning. And Reid sort of gives Meg shit for not having an umbrella. I never have an umbrella.
No, that's what I'm like, I don't ever have an umbrella on hand. So kind of rude. And I mean, if the weather report said it was maybe going to rain, like, okay, maybe a little bit of a valid, like you don't have an umbrella. They said it was going to rain today, but it was just, he was kind of rude about the whole thing.
Yeah. It said 40% Cammy.
I know.
40% is not 100%.
Exactly. Get off my back.
Yeah, right. So while they're under the awning waiting for it to stop raining, Reid starts asking Meg questions about her business and the new project. He's really asking, it's like it's dad questions.
Yes.
Like about her finances and stuff. And she gets pretty defensive. And he even asked about her health insurance. Like, my God.
I know that was a weird concern of his. He was pretty adamant about asking her all the details of it. I was like,
right.
Calm down.
So they get in a kind of fight and Meg leaves telling Reid this was a mistake. Oh my God, that word again. Shut up. Meg gets home. She's in a super bad mood. Somebody on the subway was mean to her. And so she stuck her gum on him. Slow clap for you, Meg. That was awesome.
That was so funny. You go, girl.
Yeah. Her passive-aggressive vengeance. Sibby is at home, and she's acting excited to see Meg, but Meg is not in the mood, and she's like, "I just need a shower, like, leave me alone," but Sibby really wants to talk to her about something, so Meg switches to passive-aggressive mode, and basically, Sibby just wanted to tell Meg that her timeline for moving out has moved up.
So really it was Sibby being kind of passive-aggressive with her great news that she wants to share with Meg. I'm like,
Right, like,
"That's
"Meg, got
mean.
to see
Hey, guess what?
you." Yeah. Right, she's like, "Oh my god, do you
I'm
wanna see
moving
the
out
apartment?"
sooner than I told you
It's like
originally."
a
Like,
better than
yikes.
we yeah, like, a better unit than we expected, and we can't say no. Just like, God. So instead of the end of summer, it's now the end of June, which Meg's screwed even more because the project for Make It Happen, it's not until the deadline's not until July. And so if Sibby moves out at the end of June, Meg will definitely either need to find a new roommate or figure out some other way to make a lot of money quickly. Drugs? Selling drugs? Just kidding. She's a legitimate business. Sibby says she could call her dad and ask for money, which is a big deal because Sibby and her dad have a strained relationship ever since he told Sibby that he couldn't see her up on Broadway, saying she didn't have the voice, face, or body for it. Like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, I hated this for Sibby. Even though I was not a huge fan of her
Yeah.
in this part, I felt really bad that that was brought up that she
Right. Like,
ew,
fuck
yuck.
her dad. Like,
Can't.
get lost. Get lost,
Yeah.
dad. So Meg's like, "No, don't do that. I'll figure something out." Sibby then asks why Meg's day was so bad, and Meg just stares at her like, Don't you see? I got
I'm
poured on
soaking
and
wet.
whatever."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Where to even start and be able to explain after so many months of like not getting the details of someone's life?" Which that's also valid. Being like, I don't even know where to start. And
Right.
so then Meg goes to her room and calls Cecilia and gets the number of the famous person who wanted to hire her. So it turns out that
Ooh.
person, is an actress named Lark Tannen Fisher, who Meg is actually a big fan of. Lark was the star of a movie called The Princess Tent that Meg and Sibby watched all the time as high schoolers. I just think Anne Hathaway and The Princess Diaries.
Bingo.
That's it.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I imagined this scenario. There's a very brief description of the movie, and I'm like, oh, it's Princess Diaries.
Yeah, 100%. So Meg's fangirling, but trying to keep it in check when she shows up to Lark's brownstone for the initial consultation and gets to meet Lark. Almost immediately, though, Meg starts getting a bad feeling because everything Lark talks about seems to be super influenced by her husband, like why they moved from LA, why they bought the house they did, how they want it decorated, etc., etc. Cameron is her husband, and he's an actor turned director. There's also stuff about how he supports Lark's work, but definitely doesn't want her doing rom-coms or TV, which yuck, hate that for her.
You know? We get to see him a little bit later on, but I was like, yeah, it's because she'd start kissing other men in those scenarios, and she would realize that
Oh.
Cameron's a dud in more ways than one, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we know, Meg can never keep it together about stuff like this, so she's nervous. She's like, "I'm gonna hide stuff in the letters." Lark wants Meg to do a custom planner for her, but also 2 large walls in her house. Meg immediately tries to get out of this giant wall mural because she's sure she'll end up, hiding a message in it or say something she has no place saying.
I was like, just don't do it then, you weirdo. Like, just how hard is it to
Right.
not do it?
Just don't write the message in the
Yeah,
fucking letters.
or if you look back at your rough draft of this, because it's a wall mural. It's not like you're just going in and
You're
willy-nilly
not gonna
starting
wing
to
it.
do this. Exactly. Just remove any subtle or hidden
R
messages that you think might be there. I don't understand. Just don't do it then. Just don't do it. So anyway. Weird. Weird.
Yeah,
You're not an art
super
thief
weird.
leaving your calling card by leaving hidden coded messages in there. Like, what are you doing? This is so bizarre to me that you're so stressed about this. Oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just don't do it. You
Mhm.
know it's a
Yeah.
problem. That's the first step.
Mhm. First step is admitting there's a problem.
Yeah,
And you already
yeah.
have. So move on to step 2 and
Right. And, Lark, though, is hesitant to hire anyone else. She's like, "Oh, because she's, such a private person." So she kinda guilts Meg into agreeing, and then Meg calls Cecilia afterwards to thank her for helping set this all up. Cecilia asks her to come into the shop because there's a package there for Meg from Reid. Dun, dun, dun. Meg assumes the worst or that Reid is weirdly trying to give her business advice or something. So the whole way to the shop, she's imagining the lecture she wants to give him, which so real too.
Real, yeah.
Like, just like, fuck you. I am here to tell you this. And also, I do have a business account, you motherfucker.
It's like when you have that whole argument in your head, like you're prepared for this whole speech,
Yes.
and then it's not.
Yeah, it's like nothing. You're just like all
Yes.
psyched up.
Yes.
Yeah. Very funny. Making up scenarios.
Mhm.
But actually, what the package is, it's a handwritten letter of apology. And of course, Meg's all gooey over it because she loves letters. And she's like so excited to see his handwriting and stuff. She likes actual like penmanship letters, not just
Yes.
letters in general.
Yep.
Like, oh, he wrote me a letter. It's like, no, she wants to see how he wrote the letters. But in this letter, Reid apologizes for the questions he asked, saying he was nervous. And he says he went back to that last sign early in the morning and it was a much better experience. It wasn't as loud, at least. He still couldn't really see it. So then he went to the library and found a picture of the building so he could see the sign in full. I was like, oh my gosh, heart eyes. He did a bunch of research.
I know that deserved a little more of a swoon moment. Not the swoosh, but just a swoon. Just a swoon. That was cute. That was cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So Meg calls Reid when she gets back home. She thanks him for the letter and the picture and finds out that Reid has a master's and a doctorate in mathematics. I guess we never find out how actually old Reid is, but he's a doctor.
Mhm.
Meg asks Reid to tell her one thing he likes about the city, and he says the food, like hole in the wall places where the food has to be good to survive in New York. And then Meg asks Reid if he wants to try again. For another sign adventure. Yeah. Look at them reaching out. So we cut to Meg and Reid at a hole in the wall restaurant with a line out the door. Plus, the restaurant's in a good area where Meg thinks they'll be able to find some good signs. So Meg was like, food first, then sign hunting. Great. What a good way for us to break the tension and have a second chance. But she's being all awkward now about having to stand so close to him while waiting in line. But so whatever. They're making small talk. Like, she's like, a lot of second date things are happening. Like, like I notice how he smells and my hair touches him. I'm like, what planet are you on?
You poor thing. You do not know how to be social with people at all. Oh gosh.
So whatever. They're making small talk, getting to know each other a little better. Reid even makes a joke. Oh my God. And then they get their food and start eating. While they're doing that, Reid points out a sign to Meg and asks if Meg has ever heard of John Horton Conway. He was a mathematician who liked to play games, and he used those games to work out math and loosen his mind up for ideas that were on their way. So Reid suggests Meg make a game out of her sign project. So the game they play is they have to find handwritten letters to spell their full names.
I thought this was cute. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this with my kids. Like next time we go on a road trip, I'm like, that's actually a great idea. It's like the license plate game. You know, it's like something. I loved this idea. I thought it was cute.
Yeah. Definitely takes like the pressure off. She can be artistically inspired. Meg has to find all the letters for Margaret, which is her first name, Margaret. And Reid has to find all the letters for Reid Hale. So they add his middle name so that they each have 8 letters they have to find. Meg feels inspired, you guys. It's so exciting. She's excited to get home and sketch, but even that feeling goes away quickly, and she's suddenly worried she'll sit down to try and nothing will come out and she'll still be blocked, starting to spiral. Then Reid suggests she take one letter and do their names or like a month name in the style of that letter. So they go into a coffee shop and they both get tea this time. Meg learned her lesson. And Reid picks a letter for Meg to work with, and so she writes out the word March, which leads to a conversation about how Meg makes decisions while sketching. Which I was like, okay, this makes sense. But I mean, like, it doesn't make sense, but I do weird shit like this. So I was like, okay. It's difficult for her to explain. It's just a feeling, really. Like the A that Reid picked and the style of it and the sign it was a part of for the store all led her to choosing the word March. She's like, do you get it now? He's like, whatever you say, weirdo. Then Reid brings up Avery, being like, okay, I get why you chose the style you did for her then. So Meg, of course, is like devastated by this turn of conversation. She feels like Reid chose that letter just so he could bring this up. This constant looming confrontation between us. What I did, what I put into those letters. Meg, what are you talking about?
The initial confrontation has already happened. What do you mean? Stop wallowing in this. Like, I know you're not on like even ground with each other yet necessarily, but my God, just chill the fuck out. You're fine. It's fine.
Yeah. It seriously seems like it's all in her head. It's just, like, out of nowhere. Like,
Right.
just be normal.
It's fine. Yeah.
Right. So then it gets a little awkward, and they part ways, but Reid tells Meg that he had fun, and maybe they can play again sometime. Yay!
Yay.
We cut to Meg and Lark having a consultation at the shop. Meg hoped maybe being out of the house would be helpful for Lark. It is not. And Meg doesn't want to accidentally have to meet douchebag Cameron. Lark's really indecisive and going back and forth about styles. She can't make any decisions. Meg's bored and she wants to get back to her apartment so she can keep working on stuff for Make It Happen. Since her game with Reid, she's done more for the project than she had since she first got the call. So Meg proposes a game to help Lark decide on a style. Meg recruits Lachelle to also help, and they all have 3 sheets and 10 minutes to make some kind of flying projectile with the sheets. So the 2 that go the furthest are the ones Meg will use for her initial lettering treatment. They all make paper airplanes, but Lark holds 1 sheet back, and when it's her turn, at the very end, she balls it up and lobs it. It goes the farthest. And I was like, ha, yeah, I also thought about balls. Like, and crumpling it up.
I was like, wow, you're so smart. I didn't even think about that. I would have been like trying to origami a very nice airplane and then being really sad that it didn't go.
That was like when she was... Sorry.
But it was
what?
also like, I was just going to say, it was probably intentional. Like, she probably really did already have that one as what she wanted for one of them. You know what I mean? So it was actually a 100%. Way for her to just actually make a decision, which was necessary for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So. But when Meg is like, make some kind of flying projectile, I was like, that's the only rule? Can you just crumple it up?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Lark, she can make a decision when push comes to shove because she saved that. Like you're saying, she saved that paper, crumpled it up. She made sure it won. Anyway, yay, they finally got somewhere. So after the meeting's over, it's later in the afternoon. Meg is exhausted and hungry, and she doesn't want to go home and face the reality of Sibby packing her things, etc. So she goes for a walk. She gets pizza and is thinking about Reid and how easy and fun it was to play with him, even though it was uncomfortable at the end, which it's your fault. You made it uncomfortable. Meg's realizing maybe discomfort and the risk of confrontation is worth it. So Meg takes pictures of 4 letters to spell out PLAY and sends them to Reid with a question mark.
Listen, I understand the context of this message, but my mind definitely went elsewhere. So I apparently have had too much smut on the brain recently while I was reading this. I was
recently,
like,
always a typical day for you. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, play? I was like, yeah, what? And I was like, oh, the game they were playing. It took took me a minute. Yeah, I know. I'm an idiot, but it's okay.
So Reid calls her a few minutes later while he's walking home from work. They stay on the phone and they play a game. This time, they have to find letters to spell one word that describes their day. Meg's word is surprising, and Reid's word is tense. Reid does not want to talk about his day when Meg probes a little bit. He's very tight-lipped about work, but he does have to go back for another meeting. And can I just say, fuck Wall Street and finance or whatever he does, because that phone call started at 5 p.m., and he has to go back to work for a meeting?
Later?
Yeah, no way.
Unless it's a dinner meeting over some drinks, that's the only kind of meeting I'm going to after 5 p.m.
I have a feeling that's not what it was.
No.
So but before they hang up, Reid asks Meg if she's free on Saturday.
Meg is reflecting back on her fairly successful week between playing the game with Lark, and she's excited about the plans her and Reid have for Saturday. She makes some really funny comments about the fact that her period started, which, again, it was just so relatable. But she goes, my lower back aches. Everything I put on feels like a half size too small, and I would very much like to attach a vacuum hose to my mouth that connects directly to a bag of chocolate, clutch a heating pad to my middle, and watch a series of rom-coms where no one ever seems to get a period, ever. Like, yes! So,
yeah.
Oh, it's so relatable.
Know. You should get the day off or the week off.
Mm-hmm. You should. She then gets a picture message from her father about him winning a local businessman award. This is where the congratulations that she sends back to him is from. And she thinks about the woman standing behind him and that it is not her mother. It is a woman named Jennifer that he married 2 weeks after the divorce to her mother was finalized. Yikes.
Yeah,
she definitely feels
intense.
She feels some kind of way about this, but we still don't really have the full background yet on her family or her situation. Obviously, we know it was a bad, her parents had not a great marriage while she was growing up, but we don't have a whole lot of context yet on what all blew up or what the fight that they had between each other were. She doesn't really want to go meet up with Reid because she feels like shit because she's on her period, but she puts on a brave face and goes anyway. He clocks immediately that she doesn't feel well. She powers through the first part of their game on the walk, which is picking a color and then trying to get as many letters of the alphabet as they can in that color. She doesn't do a great job hiding how uncomfortable she is and finally admits that she's not feeling well. Reid puts his hand on her elbow again, another erogenous zone, remember, and he figures out what the problem is for her. Which was funny. He's like, oh, like every man.
Yeah, right.
Oh, bummer. But she teases him a little bit for not like being able to say it out loud. It's just funny. She's like, what, you can't say, period. Like, you realize this happens once a month to every single female that you know, right?
Right.
He offers for them to go sit down a little bit and tells her that that's what his sister does when she's not feeling well during this time of the month. This opens
during
up,
her monthlies.
Yes. This opens up Meg wanting to ask him a lot of questions about his life, and she finds out that he's one of 7 kids. She says, after this, I'm going to ask him if they ever performed a concert in Austria or had a series of romance novels written about them. I was like, oh, Bridgerton. Like, that's what I that every single sibling has a love story. And he had some Advil with him, so he gave some to her. And I was like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
He's prepared. He asked her about her family. She tells him she has no siblings. Even though that's the case, she said she never lived alone. And Sibby is brought up and how she's her best friend and she has lived with her since she was 19, but that Sibby's getting ready to move out of their apartment with her boyfriend. We do find out here that it wasn't really a fight necessarily, but they've kind of grown apart, and she is telling Reid she's not really sure exactly why necessarily, but just, we've kind of grown apart.
Yeah, that's like harder to fix too.
It is. Yeah. Meg admits that they never really they haven't talked about the distance growing between them. And Reid admits that he never really had a best friend or any close friends, even from when he was a kid. He essentially was such a huge nerd that making friends was difficult for him. He went to college when he was 15. She makes a joke about him now working in math and how he must really love it. And he actually laughs at this first out loud laugh that she's heard him make. And she's so smitten by this. He brings the conversation back around to Sibby and tells her that there's no way that Sibby couldn't want to be her friend anymore. Anyone would want to be her friend.
Rita!
Which is really sweet. But from everything we've seen so far, I don't know really why you're saying that to her. But it was sweet.
Right.
It's regardless. So he touches both of Meg's elbows here. Like, he helps her stand up and he's like holding both of her elbows. So she's getting double erogenous zones right now.
I mean, I guess they are having fun together, even though they
are.
So
yeah.
They're having a whimsical time.
They are. She asked him if even he would want to be her friend. And he says, yes, even me, especially me.
Coot.
Meg is finally unblocked, and her creative block is gone, and she is presenting the options to Lark for the wall mural. They're in Lark's home in her brownstone. She's thinking back to the rest of the non-date with Reid and the Mexican restaurant that they went to, and how that was what was inspiration for her for what she's presenting to Lark. She just makes a really funny comment here about they had a really great time and it was really good conversation. And she took the soda that tasted most like cavities because Reid has an aversion to sugar. And I just thought that was a funny thing. Lark's husband, Cameron, shows up unexpectedly and the alarm to their front door starts going off. And he can't remember their first date, which is the passcode to get the alarm to go off. So a little bit of red flag on a couple of things. He seems like a jerk. They act like a couple that's shown up to a party after having a massive fight in the car about who always empties the dishwasher. I just thought that was such a relatable observation,
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the worst. When you show up and you're like, well, we have to be in a good mood.
No. We were not just screaming at each other the whole way here. Yeah. He is kind of rude to Meg, making it sound like he's out of a little kid, that she should be really grateful to even be working with them because they're famous. He makes some kind of uppity comments about their home in the area that they live in. And Meg internally says, there's an IKEA not far from here. I think he can stop being so smug about Red Hook, which is the neighborhood that they live in. Cameron is also quite a jerk about some of the examples that Meg has brought, commenting on if these are for a kid's room or something. Lark's comment about Cameron wanting her to take care of everything with the house starts to appear to be definitely not true. He actually wants to control everything. He's like one
Mhm.
of those hipsters that just talks in circles and doesn't actually have anything real to say, but tries to make it all sound philosophical, including his option for the quote on their bedroom wall, like, God is dead.
Yeah.
He's just trying to be edgy. It's so fucking weird.
Right, right.
So bizarre. Lark kind of tries to hurry along their meeting and end it since Cameron is there and being super rude and patronizing to both of them. On her way out the door, it's just Lark and Meg walking, and Meg says that she feels bad and that it really sucked what he had said to her. But Lark just shuts this conversation down almost immediately and says, no, he's a good guy. I know him. And so it seems like in
Said
certain
every
things,
woman that needs to get a divorce ever.
I know him. He's not always like this, or it
Right.
felt really yucky, yucky, yucky.
Yeah.
Meg ends up leaving with things feeling a little strained between them. After Meg leaves, she somewhat laments on the fact that she no longer has a car to drive in the city, but thinks about how walking has replaced that need for contemplation that driving can bring for her. She ends up calling Reid to see if he will go on another walk with her to somewhat de-stress or just to keep her company after the awkward interaction at Lark's house. He joins her and calls her out on her weird mood, and she starts to tell him a little bit about the interaction with Lark and Cameron. But first, she brings up Cameron's weird attire as if that explains why he was so difficult. She's obsessed with the way other people dress.
Yeah, she really is. Although I feel like in this one instance, his
It
attire
is.
is legitimate.
Yes.
Like he wears like weird leather cuffs and stuff.
Yes,
Like,
yes, I know. She talks about like the leather bracelets and like I just feel like she's being a little judgy on other people, but it
yeah,
was legitimate. Like he is a hipster
he's a
douchebag. Like
douche. Yeah,
it's exactly what you think of one of those guys. That's exactly
yeah.
how he's described. Yeah. Reid says, well, I suppose you could always hide your distaste for him in some of your letters.
Like
I'm
why?
like, I thought we were over this. Apparently not.
Yeah, like okay, so maybe Reed is like making it awkward back.
Yeah. I know. But Reid, he does seem to almost immediately regret saying it out loud.
Yeah.
After they've both admitted that they've had pretty bad days at their jobs, they do end up having a little bit of a fight and a blow up here, which has been coming. There's been these weird comments made back and forth, but there's not been ever actual confrontation that's been said between them.
Mhm.
He starts ranting about how he doesn't feel like anyone is honest in New York. And she says that sometimes people overlook the small problems and are dishonest about things in order to just get through their days. Or maybe in the grand scheme of those dishonesties, they really are not the worst things in the world. Like a white lie is not going to kill you, or pretending to be
Right.
okay when you're not is not the worst thing ever sometimes. She kind of ends up exploding to him and says that the understanding of others' emotions is more on him than it is on them not wanting to fully show their true selves. So, like, if you can't read someone being in like a mood that means they don't fully want to talk about their feelings, that's a you problem. Like,
Yeah.
read the room a little bit better when if you
Right.
feel like you can tell people are upset. And clearly from this little interaction, he decides it's time to cut their walk short. She goes to ask him to stop or wait and not leave, and she ends up spilling tea. They were sitting down and having more tea again at this point, and she spills some tea on his arm. When he pulls his sleeves up, she can see that his skin is really red and inflamed, but it's not like a burn from the tea. It's definitely something else. And he tells her not to worry about it. It's just he has psoriasis, and he's in the middle of a flare up.
Mhm.
It's really tense and awkward, and he walks away.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
was not a fun
Mm-mm. Yeah.
not a fun situation. And I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, Reed, you're too hot to
I
have
know.
psoriasis."
I know. I'm so sorry.
Poor buddy.
It's been a week since Meg has seen Reid, and she's at an anniversary party for Cecilia, the owner of the papery shop that she worked with. She's sitting with Lachelle, the other woman who works in the shop, and they have a discussion about Reid without actually saying his name and about the fight that they got in. And Lachelle tries to give her some advice about learning how to fight with people because Meg brings up the fact that her parents always fought in front of her, but they stayed together for her, or at least that's how it felt while she was a kid.
Mhm.
And she talks about how she always tries to keep the peace now because the only one big fight she did end up having with her parents after she graduated is what totally blew her life up. And they all said things that they probably didn't mean to say. Pretty
Mm.
valid to kind of be like, the one time
Yeah.
that I did try to confront any important people in my life, it totally backfired. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, that was like a special circumstance too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which we'll find out why. What we
Yeah.
know, but yeah. She decides that it's probably needed for her to have that fight with Sibby, and probably should have that fight with Lark, and to have that fight with Reid in order to actually maintain or gain any friendships and have real discussions with these people instead of just keeping the peace with them.
Yeah, it's such a big moment. And it's
It
like,
was.
it's the follow through. She's good at starting fights. She doesn't finish them, or, it's like, oh, it's starting to get uncomfortable. I'm just going to run away and never address this. And you have to like
Right.
power through and get to the other side.
Exactly. Lachelle tells her, just call him, just call Reid. But Meg admits that she has. She's called him 3 times, and he sent her to voicemail each time and hasn't responded.
That sucks.
Ouch! Burn. Owie, owie, owie. So Lachelle tells her to just leave a voicemail, try again. Her phone starts ringing, and it's a bartender from a Brooklyn bar calling to let her know that Reid just tried to pay his bar tab with her business card.
Why are there so many business cards floating around?
I don't know. It's bizarre. But Meg's like, oh shit, he's probably really drunk if he's paying.
Yeah.
Or he's attempting to pay with my business card. So Meg goes to the bar that he's at, and it's not at all the kind of place she would expect Reid to be. It's very crowded. It's very loud. She does find him at the end of the bar, and he is quite drunk. She thinks about this not being a great place to have her first real fight with him, and he's probably not in the best state of mind to have a fight with right now either. And he begins to admit that he has missed her all week, and he's mad at himself for not picking up the phone and for not calling her back. He does not realize yet at this point that the bartender called. So he just thinks that this is a random occurrence, that it's a sign that she showed up, right? He had called in sick to work that day and went and walked around, and he had looked at signs and thought of her all day. He says that he actually has not been honest with her and starts telling her all the things that he's noticed about her, and that all the things that he likes about her and how much he just likes her.
Yeah. It was so cute. It was really cute. He's like, I would say I like you so much, Meg. I was like, bring back yearning.
I love the cute drunk ramblings of love, like not a love confession, but the confession, all the same,
just
right?
A light confession. Love it.
Yeah. As they're standing there, Reid inadvertently ends up getting a fight at the bar. Like,
okay.
Some
like,
guys.
Reid absolutely knows how to fight. I was like, yeah, he does. Yeah.
Even drunk, he was it was good.
It's protecting her.
Some guys end up knocking into them while they're standing, and Reid ends up getting elbowed in the face, but he's like super strong Hulk mode and just like protects Meg while this whole thing is happening. And she's just kind of standing there like deer in the headlights. Like, oh my God, this is crazy.
It's all happening so fast.
But she's like loving it a little bit, watching him fight. Yeah. Since he got elbowed in the face, she does take him to an urgent care because he needs a couple of stitches. The doctor tells her that she needs to check on him throughout the night or make sure somebody can. And they both agree that the conversation about their fight from the previous week needs to wait until the next day, along with all the confessions that Reid had started to make to her before the fight broke out. He ends up sleeping on her couch, which was a little disappointing, but whatever.
It's like, she's sober and he's drunk. They can't do it right now.
You could still snuggies, okay? Like, whatever, okay.
Yeah.
And she does go and check on him throughout the night. The next day, they go for a walk to get breakfast, and they sit on a park bench and talk about this attraction that is between them and what that's going to look like potentially going forward. So he's admitted that he likes her. She's like, yeah, actually, I would like to keep hanging out with you too. That sounds wonderful. Meg has a couple of conditions for this relationship arrangement, whatever you want to call it. And the 2 biggest ones is that she needs to know if he still resents her for pointing out that him and Avery were making a mistake, and if he's still in love with her. And if that's the case, they cannot go any farther. She's like, absolutely not. If you still have feelings, it's not happening. He emphatically answers, no, I do not have any feelings for her. Another rule or just point of discussion that's brought up is that he wants to leave New York, and Meg feels like it's going to hurt really bad if and when he does leave. But he says, I'm here for now, so let's just kind of take advantage of the time that we have. So
yeah, and he's like, I have a quote. 'Cause I don't wanna stop seeing you. I'd see you any way you wanted, only the walks, if that's all I can have. I was like,
Oh, so
Reid.
cute. They do this at this next little part. They do this super cute like little countdown because they're both kind of weird, neurotic, like number pattern people,
Mhm.
and the way that their brains work. And they count down to him and her having their first kiss. It's
Yeah.
really cute. Yeah.
The tension. Yeah, it was really cute.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was good.
And so he invites her back to his house.
You literally always have to talk
Every
about
single
the
time.
sex.
Every single time. I'm just like doing this and I'm like, God damn it, it's me again. Like
It's like on Friends when Phoebe and Rachel are trying to record that message together. Hello, everybody.
Buddy?
Welcome to or like,
Oh my God.
yep.
Like,
And I just switch it up every time. You have to do
yep.
the sex parts.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, are you pre-screening this? What is going on with this bullshit? So they take the subway back to his apartment and they very politely do not display too much PDA while they're doing that, which apparently that's a faux pas. I thought pretty much anything went on the NYC subways. This was a little interesting, like strange.
They don't want to be a spectacle, you know?
And didn't want to draw too much attention. I don't know.
Yeah.
They get off the subway and hold hands as they're walking up to his door. And once they're inside, they start kissing immediately. Meg tells him she does not want a tour, but she'll take one after. And she warns him that she has a lot of questions about his house, the location, the decor, literally everything. She's just like briefly looking around, like cataloging everything she wants to ask him questions about. They're kissing, and she accidentally grips his forearms too strongly. They are still irritated, but he tells her to just touch him wherever she wants. He he carries her koala style into the bedroom, and clothes start coming off, and she loves his muscles. She has a
Who wouldn't?
Meg gets a little nervous, and Reid tries to calm her nerves, and then she admits it's sometimes, most of the time, very difficult for her to finish. So,
Meg, that's not a you problem.
really, yeah, that's yeah. Reid slows things down a bit here and asks her to tell him and show him what she likes and wants, and she shows him. He keeps responding with good a lot. Like a lot. And it becomes Meg and I's favorite word that he said to her thus far.
Yeah. Good use. It's
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. She thinks about the L word here though. Like, ugh, kind of yikes.
Yeah.
But after they're done, she just traces an L in a cursive swoopy script across his back. But obviously doesn't say anything to him. That would be really crazy. Really crazy. She wakes up alone sometime later, but she's happy that he can't see how giddy she is about their sexy times. She's looking around and notices how bare his place is, but she loves that he's got a library book on his nightstand. And I just have to throw out, she makes a comment here, weird one, about how he, of course, uses a bookmark. Duh. It is a library book. He's not dog-earing the pages. What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
Of course
like,
he uses
her rules are so crazy. It's like, of course, who doesn't use a fucking bookmark? What are you supposed to do?
It's not even his book.
Yeah.
You
Maybe
know,
it's like a real bookmark, like
instead of a sticky note
like a
or
piece of paper or something.
bill or something that you
but,
shove in your book.
But I'm like, why do you notice this stuff?
So strange, right? She goes out to find him sitting on the couch, and she goes and sits with him, and he's really tense about missing work the day before. He's like scrolling through his phone. He's just got like hundreds of emails and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He tells her that he's going to see something through, quote unquote, and then he's leaving New York. But he tells her, "You're the best part of this city." She asks him if he needs to catch up on work, but he turns off his phone and asks her to stay the night again, because it was like the night before is when she stayed and she woke up and yeah. She tries not to get too attached or to feel too many things because she knows how hard it's going to be on her once he does leave.
But this was all good.
It was.
I enjoyed their hookup.
I did.
I felt like it was
too.
in keeping with the book, the style of the book too. You know what I mean?
It was. Yeah.
If you've never read anything spicy, this is a great foray into that. It
It
was, like,
is
very
because it's not
mild. Yeah.
it's not a closed door, but it's also not overly descriptive. It's
Yeah.
very and it was sweet, you know, like
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
good.
Felt,
I
like,
liked it.
realistic and stuff,
It
yeah.
did. Boning Reid has officially unblocked her. Yay!
Woohoo!
Woo-hoo.
All she needed was a little
Little or a big.
D in the
We don't
V.
know. Yeah. Hopefully for her and Reed's sake, it wasn't too little. So she is at the papery and she's showing Lachelle her botanical sketches for the Make It Happen project that she's working on. Lachelle has become her editor idea board for what she's going to submit to them. She asks Lachelle if she likes or loves what she's got, and then this starts her doing a deep dive into thinking about how she needs to firmly be in like with Reid and not in love with him. That's a big, scary L word that she does not want to think about
Mhm.
right now. And lists all the things that she likes about their new relationship and reminds herself that it needs to stay that way since he is leaving. Like she's constantly reminding herself, he's leaving, he's
Yeah.
leaving, he's leaving. Meg is still stuck on the fact that Reid is leaving. So the closer her work deadline gets, that also means the closer it is to him leaving. And
Mhm.
she's a little concerned. She has not taken the opportunity to fight with Sibby or Lark yet. So while she's making some professional progress now, her personal relationship progress is not going so well. Outside of
Mhm.
Reid, that's going great.
Yeah.
She has made some attempts with Sibby, especially when she got the lease renewal, but Sibby is still avoiding her. She has plans to fix that tonight and gets groceries for her and Sibby to have a night in, but Lark reaches out and wants to come over to talk. Lark arrives and it is awkward between them from where they had left off, but they start talking about how moving to New York City was hard for both of them because each of them only really had one person they knew. Lark just had her husband, Meg just had Sibby. And
Mhm.
Meg extends an olive branch to Lark and offers for them to become real friends and show her around. But she says that basically she only wants to work with Lark and not involve Cameron any further into
Yeah.
what she's been commissioned for on her wall mural. And Lark basically admits that no one likes her husband. She talks about her friends in
Yeah.
LA, her family, and I was like, duh. he's a weird
Yeah.
he's a weird shark tooth necklace wearing jerk. We've like met him once and I hate him so much.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
They have a laugh here because Meg says I could put men, am I right, as the mural up on your bedroom wall. I'm just like, "Ugh."
yeah.
Sibby returns home to find Lark and Meg laughing and having a good time, and she is shooketh that Lark, the Princess Freddie from their favorite childhood movie, is in her living room. Sibby is acting starstruck, but starts using phrases with our in them, and Meg feels like it's the first time in a long time that Sibby has considered them a duo in anything. So Meg's feeling a little happier that Sibby's like at least trying to be in front of this stranger, this famous person being
Yeah.
a little nicer. It's kind of an awkward handshake goodbye as Lark leaves, but this does give Meg the opportunity to finally confront Sibby, and they're tiptoeing around each other that they've been doing. And Sibby just starts off this whole conversation that she can't believe that Meg didn't tell her that she was working with a celebrity from their favorite movie as kids.
I was like, have you ever met a celebrity without
No.
warning? Because I did at a funeral once, and I literally couldn't control myself. And I was like, why do I recognize this person as he's shaking his hand and introducing himself to me? And I was like, I know you from somewhere. And then I just blurted out, you were in Phantom of the Opera. It was Patrick Wilson.
Crazy. Crazy.
And he was like, yes, I was. And he just walked away. I was like, I'm so sorry. And then I was just like, I'm not going to even apologize because he probably hates me so much. And then I turned to Jared and I was like, did you know? He was like, oh, I meant to warn you that he might be here. And I was like, you just made me look like a fool.
That's so funny. I've met a couple of athletes, and
Mm.
one time I feel a little bit better. Devin was the uncool one and not me. We were at a golf tournament and we ran into Justin Thomas. It's okay if you don't know who he is.
Don't
but
know who that is.
He's a very good golfer, and this was like earlier in his career, and he wasn't married, and he actually had not made the cut that weekend, but he was at the bar of the hotel that the tournament was like really close by and we were there. So I got a
Oh,
picture
yeah.
of my son and with Justin Thomas, and Devin was like, "Hey man, can you take a picture with my wife and my kid? Like, we really love you and you're like a great golfer. We know you're going to be going places." And I'm like, "Stop it. You're embarrassing me so much right now."
Oh my God. That's so funny.
It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So anyway.
I feel Devin's pain. I'm sure he thinks about that randomly at like 2 a.m. every once in a while. And it's just like, why am I so stupid?
Yeah, it was. So it's like really great. I've reposted the picture like a couple of times when he's done well, because then I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tag you and be like, "Hey, you remember that drunk guy at that tournament who would not stop bugging you about taking a picture with his wife and his kid? That's me,
Right
me,
here.
me, me."
Uh, that is good stuff.
Yes. So Sibby does try to avoid the confrontation, claiming that people sometimes grow apart when they're in a new relationship or that people just simply change as they get older. But Meg is not buying it. Meg is not backing down, and Sibby finally admits that she's jealous of Meg and feels like Meg stole Sibby's dream of going to New York City, specifically because Meg is successful in New York and Sibby is still nannying, and she really hasn't got her big breakout role on Broadway that she's been working for. She's been doing these singing and acting and dancing classes, and nothing has come of any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she is resentful that Meg just fell into her success. And I'm just like, that is a low blow from someone who's supposed to be your best friend to have
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Like that bad of a reaction, not just like knee jerk and then you can move on from it, but like
Yeah.
this has affected the relationship for the past year.
Year.
And you can't
Yeah.
even get over it.
Right.
Like you haven't, yeah, gotten better.
It's so strange. While Sibby admits it's kind of ridiculous and petty that she feels this way, it's still a pretty shitty thing for a friend to feel for another friend. She admits that she was hoping by moving and putting some physical distance between them that she could get over it and be a better friend to Meg, but she still is blaming Meg for the way that she feels. Like she's saying like it's your fault. Like you're doing better than me, and although I understand it's a little bit irrational, it's still your fault. And I'm like, "Sibby, you're a
Yeah.
bitch. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? This is terrible."
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if you
Yeah.
look back to at their relationship, it
Mhm.
started with Sibby taking Meg under her wing, being the
Mhm.
cool one, being like, I'm gonna move to New York and do this, this, and this, and be on
Right.
Broadway. And then Meg like comes there with her tail tucked between her legs, sad, and Velcroed to Sibby, and
Yeah.
then is able to branch out and doesn't like
Yeah.
it becomes successful. Like
Right.
it doesn't it's one of those, I feel like one of those relationships where Sibby was more important to Meg than Meg
Right.
was to Sibby.
And then when Sibby was no longer as important to Meg, or at least Sibby felt like she wasn't as important to Meg because she was branching off and doing her own thing and
Right.
probably wasn't being a total hermit and needing Sibby for
Yeah.
everything.
It's like Meg's no
Yeah.
longer a loser. Like, why am
Yeah.
I her friend?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Or it's like the friend that's only friends with someone because feel like they're better than them, and that's why they keep them around
Right.
to, like, constantly make themselves feel better. That's kind of that was the
Yeah,
vibe
yeah,
I
the
got,
vibe.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And Sibby does not understand how Meg did not notice that she felt this way, and she goes in for the kill shot and says, "Not everything is some big 'I'm not your real mom' scandal, okay?" Oh,
Duh.
oh, I was just
2
I mean,
moms. Yeah. Like, one, I can't believe you said that, and also, she's not a real mom.
Yeah. Sibby, like, makes a half-assed apology at this part, but Meg leaves to go see Reid to comfort her. She's just like, "I can't not fucking deal with this. Like, here I am again. I
Yeah.
tried to confront somebody and it blew up in my face again." She gets to his building and then she's kind of having this back and forth, like, should I actually go in? Should I let him know I'm here? Like, she's like, "I'm a mess. I don't know if I even really want him to see me this way or not."
Mhm.
He ends up actually walking up as she's standing out in front of the building, and he invites her up to his condo. She tells him everything about the fight and then explains how the fight with Sibby, and then this is revealed on how she found out that her mom was not her biological mom.
Mm.
She tells him how she needed a birth certificate for college, and it ended up being the big blow up with her parents and finding out that she was the result of one of her father's affairs. It was most likely a one-night stand because it listed the mother's name on her birth certificate and it did not match her mom's name. Finding this out also led to her parents finally deciding to get a divorce after her whole childhood of them fighting constantly and her feeling like the glue that had held them together. She tried to find her bio mom, and when she did, the woman essentially didn't want anything to do with her and told her to try to reconcile with her actual parents.
I'm like, that seems so unrealistic.
It
I don't
does.
believe that for a second, that woman would not wanna see
Yeah.
her daughter.
At all. I mean, it's been 20 years. Maybe when you were I mean, who knows how old she was or if it was a fling or a one night like, what happened or why her dad ended up,
Yeah, but I'm
kind
sorry. You carry that
Yeah.
baby to term and you give birth to it, you have a hole in your life forever that
Mhm.
you like, I mean, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. After relaying the story to Reid, he offers to go for a drive the next day and take her to Maryland and introduce her to his family. Seems too soon for that, but what do I know? And she agrees to go
Also,
with
after
him.
she was like, "Do you see how horrible my family is? Wanna go
He's
meet my
like,
family?"
"Let me show you how it's done." Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh. It's like, I don't know if that was it felt kind of
But it's
insensitive.
also like, "Do you wanna go for a drive?" You
Yeah.
know, she
Yeah.
likes to, like, clear her head with the road trip or whatever.
Exactly. So they go to Reid's family home the next day as planned. It's just his parents and his youngest sibling that's there. Remember, he has 7 of them.
I
And her
know,
name
that's
is
crazy.
yikes. Her name is Katie, and it's spelled Cady, just like in Mean Girls. So guess what? It's Caddy. Okay? It's Caddy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna call you Caddy.
Reid is going to act and look exactly like his dad. These are just observations that she's making about his family that she's meeting. His
Mhm.
mom is a super sweet and retired school teacher, and Caddy, is in cosmetology school and is significantly younger than the rest of her siblings. Like, I think she's like 11 years younger than the next closest one. So
Yeah.
Meg's kind of feeling like maybe they could bond over the feeling of being only children, at least. They have a very nice lunch together and talk after, including the ceremonial rite of passage of new love interests of the embarrassing childhood photo album that Reid's mom gets out and wants to show her all of his baby pictures and stuff.
Mhm.
This ends up leading to a tense interaction between Reid and his dad. While they're looking at photos, it's revealed that Reid originally wanted to be a teacher or a professor, but he ended up abandoning that dream to make money at his current job with the numbers and math or whatever the hell he does.
He's a transponster.
Yeah, transponder. But his dad pointedly looks down at his arms that are still irritated and inflamed, and he says, "You've made enough money at that job. Like, you should just walk away. It's stressing you out."
Yeah.
This little argument dissolves really quickly, though, and Meg is just reflecting and watching this interaction in hopes that the same thing can happen with her and Sibby, that even though they fought, that it will just, it'll be okay with them. The day kind of flies by, and they end up deciding to stay the night at his parents' house instead of the 3-hour drive back to the city. They go to Reid's childhood bedroom, and after some making out, they figure out that the bed is super squeaky. So no hanky panky for them while they're at his parents' house. The topic of him
Yeah. But wait,
becoming.
don't they figure out a way to do it?
Oh, well, I'm not there yet, girl. Just give me a second.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so funny though. Wait, don't they do it? Yes, they do. Just give me a second.
Get to the good stuff. God.
The topic of him becoming a teacher comes up again, and he admits that he's considering, he's thinking about going back and maybe trying to do that in New York City. It's been growing on him, and there's things that he loves about it, but they don't actually say that those things are her that is making him want to stay in the city.
Just things, not a person.
Yeah, person, yeah. Meg is thrilled with this change of plans that Reid is suggesting and wants to play a quiet game to show some appreciation, aka have some sneaky sex where they can't make any noise.
So they do. They do it.
So they do. Yes, they do.
All right. We cut to Lurk has been presented with her custom planner. She is speechless. It's perfect. It's so perfectly her, which Meg was able to do because they've been hanging out a little bit more, going on walks and stuff. Meg still hasn't started on the walls, and Lark avoids bringing up Cameron. Also, Sibby moved out over a week ago, so some time has passed. When
Yeah,
Meg
maybe
got
about
home from her
like a month,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, or so. is kind of
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Sometime when Meg got home from her trip to Maryland, Sibby was waiting for her and apologized for what she said. Meg forgave her, but even so, nothing can really fix what's wrong between them except space because Sibby's a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, which I actually kind of agree with this at this point. I think they do need some space from each other. Like, Sibby's
Yeah.
irrationally jealous and said some really mean things, and I think she needs to grovel a little bit to get to be back in Meg's good graces. So maybe some space is definitely needed for them, you know?
Yeah.
So
Totes. Reid, meanwhile, has been super intense about work. He says things like, I have to see this through, and then ... But he always trails off. Also, the Make It Happen deadline is in 2 days, and Meg is done with all of her designs. Meg's going to do a mock run through at the shop tomorrow for Cecilia and Lachelle. And Lachelle also tells her to bring her boyfriend, but he'll be at work. Meg also feels a little awkward because she still hasn't told him how she knows Reid or how they met, etc.
I wanted to throw this out here. Will Cece or Cecilia really remember him? It's been a year.
Yeah.
And Meg had previously done work for a lot of different clients, and he came into the shop one time. What is she really stressing about here on this? I don't get it.
Or
still.
even if it's the truth, like, I know this is so weird, but I designed a program for him and his fiance, and they broke up, and then we ran into each other a year later, and we started
Exactly.
like,
and there was
that's
a
like
connection
not even
there.
that weird. Yeah.
No. It's so you're making a mountain out of a molehill for sure on this. The stress level on
1000%.
this is not necessary. Yeah.
I agree. Lark and Meg leave the shop, and Lark tells Meg she's thinking about going back to work. Lark misses being on set. So Meg encourages her to go for it. And Lark gives her a hug and tells Meg she's a good friend. And I was like, well, this makes Meg miss Sibby, though, but it's also a comfort for Meg knowing she has other good things in her life. But she's, she's like, I wish Sibby and I were still friends.
Yeah.
Meg and Reid meet for dinner later that evening, closer to his office. Reid says he had a busy day at work. There's still a lot to do, but hopefully it won't be much longer until he can finish up. Then he changes the subject and asks about Meg's work, which Meg assumes he does to try to not get her hopes up about him being able to stay. So when they're done, Meg gets a giant messy ice cream cone after dinner. And I was like, yes. And walks back to Reid's office with him. Everything's happy and fun. And I was like, something bad's going to happen until they run into Avery leaving the office. I was like, knew it. Yeah, Avery, as we said earlier, Avery is beautiful and composed and wears white clothing all the time. And she doesn't have ice cream all over her face. And the three of them have a horrible, awkward conversation. I mean, it's actually not that bad, but I can imagine being Meg, and that is horrible.
Yeah, because for her, I'm sure she's just on so many eggshells, and she's like, oh my God, does she remember me? Or are you going to start questioning, why are you guys hanging out together? This is so weird. I would be very, very nervous and be like, oh my God, we need to get away from this situation as fast as possible, please. Yeah.
Avery's really nice, though. She was just visiting her dad or something, and her and Reid are on good terms. Meg looks at Reid, though. She looks at his face, and his expression is wrecked. Quote, Meg immediately starts spiraling. That's not how someone who broke up amicably looks at their ex. And Meg's trying to be reasonable, though, and thinks about what Sibby said. Not everything's some big scandal. Take a breath. Reid and Meg try to recover from this encounter after Avery leaves, but it ends with Reid going back to work and saying he'll call Meg. He didn't even invite her over to his place for the night or, be like, you can come wait for me till I get home. He promises they'll talk about everything later, but Meg isn't sure she believes him. I was like, not the third act breakup, please.
Do we want to know what approximate percentage this was at?
Oh, yeah. What was it?
It was 76%.
There it is.
Yep. Right there. Yep. I was super anxious about this, though, because I was like, things were being cute. And even though things were not resolved, things were trending up for her at this point.
Yeah.
And then, this really was not great.
One more little hiccup. So now it's Friday, and Meg is at Make It Happen, about to make her pitch. Meg isn't feeling great. She has a nagging feeling she doesn't belong there. It doesn't help that Reid's being super distant and has only called her twice and texted her a few times. The texts are like, I'm sorry I didn't have time to call. I'm headed in early this morning. I have to be here late again. Just very short. And every text has just brought more dread. It's reminding Meg of Sibby's brush-offs. Meg's been doing the thing where you don't check your phone notifications constantly, like a watch pot never boils. And I was like, this is so real too. I remember hiding my phone, being like, I'm just going to check it in an hour, see if this guy texts me. I'm not going to look at it constantly.
I was even thinking of like the phantom buzz where like, you have your phone on silent and it's like turned
Mm,
over and you're like, did it just buzz? Should I check it? Did it go off? Did it not? Or
yeah,
did
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
that in
yeah,
my
yeah,
pocket? Did
yeah.
it actually go off? Or should I play it cool? Like,
Yeah.
I can check it later. I can check it. Like
Right,
very
right,
anxiety.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a fun feeling.
No.
So Meg's just trying to psych herself up and she gets called in for her pitch. Meg does everything how she did the day before when she practiced at the shop, but she starts to notice none of the panel seem jazzed about her work. Something is definitely off. And they tell her this just isn't the work they expected from her. They patronize her like, just go ahead and finish, sweetie. You came such a long way. But Meg decides she's going to fight for herself a little bit. Were you pissed?
Yeah, I was. I was like, God damn it, you guys.
Yeah.
And especially because she talks about just how unique and how she just felt like it was so much better and different, and it was unique for her, but still like had her own style in it. So it wasn't like total offshoot from what she had done previously. Like I felt that
Right.
just shitty to have
It
like your
sucks. And I was like, how'd you get your wires crossed so hard? Like, did they say
right.
they wanted fresh and new? Or were they like, hey, Meg, we love your style. We want you to do this exactly.
Right.
But
Yeah.
who
What
knows? But
parameters
Meg,
were there that you didn't? Yeah.
right. So Meg basically says, she's like, you should have something unique that doesn't look like everything else you sell already. And this answer kind of falls flat, though. And when Meg leaves, it really hits her that did not go well. So Meg's feeling pretty sad. It's kind of a forehead pounding, like stupid moment. She's like, and Meg's also like, I need to figure out how to make more money. So then Meg finally checks her notifications. This is even worse than having no notifications.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
3 voicemails and over a dozen texts, all from Reid. Reid's first voicemail to Meg just said, please call me. Then the second voicemail, he sounded quieter and more strained and said, something unexpected has happened. If you could call me before you look at the news today. What? And the third voicemail, he's speaking quickly and sounds desperate. He says, I may not have access to my phone for some time, but I will explain this to you. I promise I will explain it. His texts also have a similar tone. They're desperate but vague, revealing nothing, just how Reid wanted to speak with Meg and his concern with her seeing the news and that he might be unreachable. Oh my God, what a scandal.
I know. I was like, this is ominous. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
What is going on?
What is
and
it?
why? Yeah. So crazy. Anyway.
Yeah. So who doesn't love a scandal? And the Custer Capital Investment Securities fraud is a big one.
Huge.
Everything started to unravel that morning at 9:36 a.m. when the FBI, along with members of the New York City Business Integrity Commission, entered the building where Reid had been employed for the last 6 years. Within 2 hours, they'd seized every single computer from the company's 3-floor office space. They had also boxed up every single piece of paper in Alastair Coaster's office, as well as every single piece of paper in the office of his long-serving assistant. They'd taken photographs, posted notices to the entry doors, and for all of that time, Mr. Coaster, one of the city's most successful businessmen and one of the most generous philanthropists, had been allowed to wait in a conference room with 2 FBI agents so long as he did not attempt interactions with any of his employees. And then he was marched in handcuffs out the front doors, only a few steps away from where Meg had stood 2 nights prior, talking to his daughter, Avery. Dun, dun, dun.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oof. So this isn't the first time there's been a fraud scandal, but people are extra interested because of Reid Sutherland, the hot, mysterious whistleblower.
Mathematician. Yeah.
So in the initial stories that are printed, Reid is he's little more than a principal drone, the employee who noticed something suspicious and reported it. But as the story unfolds, you can see the moment the press learned that he was more to Coaster than just an employee. Like one of the subheadlines says, whistleblower Sutherland almost married into Coaster family.
I just have to say this was not the plot twist I was anticipating at all.
Yeah, that reason working with the FBI.
And like that, it's interesting to me too that after even an amicable split with Avery, just that, listen, I work in a place with dynamics where my husband and my parents, we all work together. And I cannot imagine staying and working with, even if they were only going to be your potential future in-laws, that I just,
Right.
anyway, it's weird.
I mean, it seems like Reid, didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Or
It
like
was,
the dad
yeah.
was like, I need you to stay here, please.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
So after that, Reid is everywhere. The news reporting about, I'm like, what a great story for the reporters. You know what I mean? Like, what
Right.
what
to
a hook.
find out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
About him.
Yeah. So the news is reporting about how he was a one-time child prodigy who kept himself separate from his coworkers, most of whom thought him stern, humorless, distant. I mean, valid.
Yeah.
A brilliant analyst who rose in the ranks quickly, spending 11 surprising months engaged to Coaster's daughter until a quiet, seemingly amicable breakup not long before the wedding. He's also depicted as a nerves of steel hero who spent the last 6 months working with authorities, never betraying even a hint of disruption to his regular work. Meg, of course, like desperately reading all the news, trying to find anything she possibly can with any information about Reid. She's also trying to get in touch with him just in case. She's like, won't go on the subway because there's no internet reception. Like, she just keeps calling, all that kind of stuff. She's rethinking their whole relationship and every conversation they've ever had because he's been involved with this whole thing the whole time Meg has known him,
Which
which
I
is
can't even.
crazy.
Yes, that's got to be an incredibly stressful situation for him. Like to be still working, but then also supplying information to the FBI to help them build a case against your employer and former future father-in-law. I mean, it
Yeah.
does give you a little bit more of an explanation on probably why he was so tense and maybe also why he was kind of a jerk sometimes because he was probably
Yes.
so stressed out. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it validated some of his actions a little bit for me, even if listen, there's no reason to be an ass. However, there are certain
Yeah.
times where you just can't help it because you got other shit going on. So,
Right.
yeah.
Totally. So Meg gets home because she's been traveling this whole time, like back from the Make It Happen thing, and plans to go to Reid's apartment to wait for him when she gets a call from Cecilia telling Meg her name is in the news. The headline of the article Cecilia sends her reads, Coaster's scorned almost son-in-law couldn't get over his ex. This article depicts Reid as a guy with a grudge, smart but vindictive, always insecure, which I'm just like, fuck you.
I know. God.
Avery was out of his league and Reid was wrecked when they split. Meg is like, wow, I used that exact word to describe his face after he talked to her. What are the chances? And I was like, I feel like he so clearly had that face though, because he knew he was about to drop a bomb on Avery's life. Like, that's so clear. And she's like, I guess he still loves her. Like, Meg, get it together.
I know, because I had that exact same feeling. I was like, things won't be so amicable between the two of them once all of this unfolds. That's what he was worried about and that he was wrecked about. That not that
Right. Yeah, he
not
was
that
like,
he
oh
was
no, shit's about to go down. The human cost of my,
yeah. The only thing though is I'm
whatever.
like, you still work for her dad and this it was probably awkward seeing her with Meg and that this was coming up close, but that can't have been the first time that they've seen each other since they called off their wedding. I mean,
Yeah.
really?
But maybe just knowing like shit's about to go
Right.
down,
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so the article also says Reid was accusing others of sabotaging his and Avery's relationship. Several people remember him claiming that the wedding program, designed by Meg Macworth, contained a hidden message that the wedding would be a mistake. Fuck, Meg is screwed. She's also like, this isn't how the breakup went. Like, at least that's not how Reid told me it went. Was he lying to me? Like,
Yes.
like,
Yikes.
he never told Meg he told anyone else about the program. And then Meg is like, no one will believe this until the article goes on to say they were able to get a copy of the program. And what do you know? Mistake is in there. It's like circled. There's a
my
picture of
gosh.
the program and everything.
I know. And I do have to say, though, after hearing this, I assumed it was Avery's family, basically immediately. I was like, they're trying to do damage control and push the focus elsewhere besides this fraud scandal and make it look
Right.
like Reid is just a vindictive, scorned
Jilted lover.
ex-lover.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So Meg is now just in a catatonic state, sitting on the couch. Her phone's ringing off the hook with reporters, still nothing from Reid. Meg is like, should I go on the lam? Just leave everything? Start over? She doesn't want to face any of her clients, Cecilia, Lachelle, or Lark. Make It Happen already was a bust, but even if it wasn't, they'd never want her after this, et cetera, et cetera. She's just like going down.
Spiral.
Meg, just keeps watching the news stories on repeat. And there is one short clip of Reid being escorted out of the building by security. And so she just like keeps watching that one and stuff. Poor Reid. And she sees like a little, like his arm, like his sleeve lifts up and she can see that he's like got a little patch. He's like very, very stressed out. Poor little Reid.
Yeah.
So then Sibby shows up to the apartment. Here she comes to save the day. So Meg wakes up the next morning. She's like, yesterday wasn't a dream. This sucks.
Yeah.
And Sibby's still there. She's making breakfast. Meg still hasn't heard from Reid, but other people start contacting her as like reporters and then clients who claim to be finding messages that Meg hid in their planners, which some of these are pretty funny. So see, I'm like, Meg, this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be like, what are you everyone's crazy. Last night, Meg also filled Sibby in on everything that's happened in the last year. So they're all caught up. Meg thinks about all the things she needs to do today, like make a plan, just to call a bunch of people. She's overwhelmingly concerned for Reid, but also she's devastated about the things that he's hidden from her. Not the work stuff, but the personal stuff. And clearly he told someone else about the program, but Meg didn't know that.
I imagined like a conversation between when they were, if they maybe had like a real fight. I just had this like moment where I was like, even our calligrapher could tell that this was a bad idea. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, have them have that moment that like, see, she even thought it was a mistake kind of thing.
Right,
She doesn't even know us.
yeah. Because, like, what a weird thing to bring up to anyone,
Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
I don't know. So, Sibby takes charge of everything, which, like, yay, thank you. She helped
Yeah.
Meg get a second phone line set up, and so Meg can just give that number to people she knows, and then every other reporter, they'll just go to her old number, and she can deal with them later. She's turned off all the comments on Meg's social media, and Meg's appreciative of this, but she starts to have this bad feeling. And then she asks if Sibby thinks it's easier to be friends with Meg when it's this way, when Meg needs her more. Like maybe they learned to be friends this way. And then when Meg didn't need Sibby the same way, that's when they grew apart. And Sibby's like, yeah, maybe. I think so. But
Yeah.
Sibby wants to change that dynamic if that is true, because Sibby
Yeah.
loves Meg and misses her. And Meg feels the same way. So I'm like, okay, at least you want to like work on it
Yeah.
and change.
And this was just a very interesting, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, but as a woman and having friendships with other women, I just thought that this was a very
Mhm.
strange fight and falling out. It just seemed so petty to be jealous
Yeah.
of that. Like, it just was a weird thing to be, but they're in their early 20s, so maybe I'm just far enough removed from that point in my life that I don't
Mhm.
think I would have ever felt that way, but maybe that's the case. It was just a weird thing, and just the whole poor Meg, so I'm gonna come to your rescue again. So like that's why I'm here.
Right. After that is the reason why you left. Like, you
Yeah.
were successful, so I can't be around you, and now I'm gonna come help you when
When
all this shit is going down. Like, that feels very yucky versus if
Mhm.
they'd had, like, a real fight about something like,
Right.
I think Elijah's a piece of shit and you shouldn't move in with him. You guys are gonna
Right.
break up." And
Mhm.
then, and then she can figure like, if it was a real actual fight, and then
Right.
you come and you're like, "We can
Mhm.
move on from
Yes.
our
Yes.
fight."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, "Oh, now that everything's bad for you again, I am here to help."
Yeah. Let
Huh.
me charge in and save the day kind of thing instead
Right,
of
right. Yeah,
when
so,
it's an obvious thing instead of just being your friend because you need a friend. Like
yeah,
just I
but
didn't like that very much. But anyway, yeah.
so, not the best. We cut to Meg, finishing up a visit to Cecilia, so she's, like, out of the house, doing some damage control. Meg told Cecilia everything, apologized, and said she'd do whatever she needed to help repair any fallout for the shop, and Cecilia's like, "Listen, it's really not that big of a deal."
Yeah.
But they do agree that Meg will avoid the shop for a while, and if Cecilia gets calls from past clients, she'll just remind them that Meg is an independent contractor and has nothing to do with shop. And this part was like really sweet. I teared up at this
Yeah.
part. Like Cecilia was just so nice.
It
They're
was.
like
It
real
was
friends.
yeah, and Meg needed that so bad in that moment.
Mhm.
You know, because even though Sibby was there for her, it did not feel as genuine as this felt with Cecilia,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah.
So Lachelle also cared zero about this whole thing. She's just like, listen, let's get drinks later and tell me all of the drama.
Yeah.
So Meg's walking back to her apartment and checking her phone. Of course, Reid still has not gotten in touch with her, but she has a voicemail from Yvonne, which is the make it happen person that set up Meg's interview. And so Meg calls back and Yvonne's like, "This is so exciting. We want to hire you right away so you can get started on your new line." And Meg's like, "What? It seems like my sketches like I presented were not a hit." But Yvonne interrupts her and is like, "Hidden messages. It's brilliant. We want to do a whole line with that. And you can hide messages of motivation in your work. And it could be kind of a game for our customers." Uh-oh, trigger word, game.
Game.
Meg's like, "No, game is a nice, fun thing I do with Reid. You're making this horrible." And those were sincere and special. And they led to
Yeah.
her being able to create again and be inspired. And this twist on it is making it feel trivialized, and it just feels icky.
Yeah. Icky was the word I used. It felt like, let's capitalize on your current personal crisis.
Right, right. For 2
By
seconds, I was like, "Oh, yay, it's gonna work." Oh, and then I was like, "Ooh, no, this isn't good."
yeah, no, I don't like this. I don't like the way they're going about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So Meg's like, "Well, let me think about it. I'll get back to you." And then when she gets home, B's there. Also, Lark, who has her planner with her, and Meg's like, I did not hide any messages in there.
Promise. I promise.
Yeah. And Lark laughs and she's like, I know. I just came to check on you. And then Meg tells them about the Make It Happen proposal that she just got. Meg doesn't want to take the job, but then she's also like, I do need money and I don't know if I'm going to be hireable anywhere else right now or ever. Meg says everyone's right to be angry and suspicious of her. And then Lark says that she was suspicious, but actually, and it was like, well, suspicious is the wrong word. She was hopeful that Meg had hidden a message for her in her planner. And when she realized what message she was hoping for, which was something like, it's not working out with Cam or it's not working out in New York, like Lark realized she needed to make a change.
I didn't know that a hidden message was what was needed in this particular scenario. Right. It's pretty obvious that everyone, including Meg, has already basically told you to your face that they don't like Cameron.
Right. Cameron
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that a hidden message was needed outside of all the evidently very vocal messages you've already received on this.
Right. Yeah. So good for you, Lark. Meg is also like, I guess I need to start over too. Lark also offers to help, saying she can basically like vouch for Meg's work. So this was nice. This was another like very nice friend moment.
Yeah, it was very sweet. Very sweet.
Yeah. So Meg wakes up the next morning. The three of them had a fun girl sleepover where they made a pile of pillows and blankies on the floor and they all slept together. Meg still hasn't heard from Reid. She sneaks out and goes for a walk, and she's thinking about how Reid did give her signs, like how much he hated his work, his stress, like how reticent he was to talk about work and stuff, and how big of a deal it was when he didn't have his phone for that whole day, how he's so desperate to get out of New York, whatever. She's still struggling with the look on Reid's face the last time he saw Avery, though, right before it, like all the shit went down. She's like, was their breakup as amicable as he told Meg it was? I was like, yes, you dumb bitch. He knew he was about to fucking ruin her life. God.
Exactly. That is the only reason. He has, like, in all of their prior conversations about work or just anytime that they were interacting with each other, Avery really was not brought up. It wasn't like it seemed like he was pining for her still or was super upset about their relationship. It was always just work stress. So
yeah.
I just was like, the fuck over it. You're fine. Yeah.
So she's really trying to reassure herself, but she really wants to hear from him, obviously. And when she gets back home, someone is parked out front of her building, and it's an FBI agent named Shore Termizzi. Doesn't matter. She's dressed like Olivia Benson.
Bum bum.
This episode produced by Dick Wolf. Meg immediately asks if Reid's okay, and Termizzi assures Meg that Reid is fine. They're kind of just keeping him like a low profile with all the accusations circling about him in the press, trying to limit people's access to him. Termizzi then gives Meg a letter from Reid, and she's also like, that's not all you should thank me for. Apparently, Termizzi was the person who told Reid to take Meg up on her offer. So when Reid said to Meg in that coffee shop, someone did tell me recently I ought to try keeping my mind occupied, he was talking about Special Agent
Termizzi.
Olivia Benson, Termizzi. Then Termizzi tells Meg that she has read a lot of love letters. Oh, wait, she has a letter from Reid for Meg. I guess I left that part out. Whoopsie daisy. But, and she's like, I've read a lot of love letters, like a lot. Think Carrie in Sex and the City in the movie when she's reading that book. She's like, and this is a good love letter. Also, Reid's a good guy. Okay, bye.
Okay. So this whole next chapter was just Reid's letter to her. Reid's love letter is beyond sweet to her.
I know. It's so cute.
It is so cute.
A good letter.
So good. He apologizes for the way that the article framed things and that she didn't have a choice in the way that it all had come out and that he deserves any backlash from her. He said he made many mistakes and he is important that he's including that word in the way that he's saying he did it versus her, right? And he feels terrible for dragging her into this scandal. He also goes into more detail about him and Avery's relationship and breakup and that they each had their own motivations for trying to make the relationship work. He describes figuring out that the math wasn't mathing in the investment securities group within the company. At first, he was enjoying the challenge of trying to understand the numbers that they were supplying, but ultimately discovered that the reason it wasn't adding up was because they were fraudulent. When he brought it up to his supervisor, he was told that it's just a mistake. Here's that word again.
Never heard this word as many times as it
I
was
know.
in this fucking book.
In this book, yeah. And it was bouncing around in his head a lot. And he felt like it had a connection to what he saw in the wedding program mock-up that she had provided. So it's like he's being told this was a mistake. He sees this. It's like it was the signs. It's all in the signs,
Yeah.
right?
It was haunting him.
And her use of the word mistake make him go back to review his work mistake. And he found out that ultimately the company has been part of a larger investigation and that he can't go into any more detail in this letter to her beyond that. He admits that he feels like he fell in love with her the moment that they met and was sure that the one-time meeting was a fluke until he came back into her shop in the spring, almost a year later, to confront her about the mistake in the wedding program. He admits that seeing Avery the week prior had more to do with him being worried about her well being once the news of the scandal broke, because he does still care about her, but not in that way. But I'm
Yeah,
really glad
thank
he
you.
spelled it out. I'm really glad he spelled it out for her. Pun intended there, that he spelled it out for her. Okay. Because Meg really needed him to just flat out say it without there being any questions. My
Yeah.
God. Okay. He also panicked because he was worried Avery would remember seeing him and Meg together and put two and two together and then be super pissed at him and maybe then even reveal how the three of them had known each other in the past, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also admits that he told Avery that he had noticed the mistake in the wedding program, although Avery did not believe that Meg had put it in there intentionally and that Reid was just looking for a sign to end things. So it must have really been subtle, because even after Avery looked at it, she's like, I do see what you're saying, but I don't actually think that this is
Right.
intentional on her part. It still was an amicable breakup between them, but obviously her family is in damage control mode and are doing whatever they can to make him look like the ex-scorned lover, and any relationship to him is getting dragged through the mud too, unfortunately for Meg. Reid said that he wanted to tell her everything and that he would have broken his promise to the FBI for her if it hadn't all happened so quickly. He's worried about Meg and he feels super guilty, but he can't help but be grateful that she inserted that mistake into the program to give him the courage to look at all the things in his life more closely and to make sure he didn't actually make any mistakes. He said his whole life he's felt that he's been mistaken. Misunderstood would have been perfectly acceptable to use here instead. God, I'm tired of mistake. And that she makes him feel like he's okay just being himself. He's very, very sorry and he loves her. And he leaves a number code at the bottom of the letter for her to decipher.
Okay, I have 3 quotes I must read.
Yes,
Hold,
please.
please. Okay. All right. I wanted, even for a little while, to be around your smile and your conversation and your talent, and eventually your way of seeing this city. And then I wanted everything else, your kiss, your body close to mine, your love. I wanted you forever. God. Okay, and then I would have broken my promises to them to keep my promise to you. He's talking about the FBI. I would have told you everything after your pitch. How was your pitch? In parentheses. I would have risked everything to warn you. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Yeah. And then at the end it goes, so I am sorry. I am sorry and I love you. And the time I have spent with you has been the best time of my life. No matter where I go after this, I will never take a step without wishing you were walking beside me. And I will never see a sign without wishing you were there to see it with me. Oh my fucking God.
No. It was so sweet. Oh my God. I can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good letter.
It was a very good letter. I was like, I want a love letter like that. I've never received a love letter
Yeah.
like that. It was so cute. Gosh. Whew. That's why we love our book boyfriends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I did like Reid. Like he
I
grew
did
on
too.
me.
He did.
Yeah.
Meg did too. It took a while, but she got there
Yep.
for me.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So, like I mentioned, there's a code at the bottom of the letter. So, Sibby and Lark go with Meg on the adventure of decoding the numbers that are at the bottom of the letter, and it leads them to a hotel in New Jersey. She thinks back to them, gently making sure that she was okay and if she really wanted to follow him and the risk of her job versus him and blah, blah, blah. But she's in love with him, so she has to see him.
Yes.
And they're being total like best friend girls and like, we'll come in with you. Like, do you want any help? And I was like,
Yeah.
I know your guys are like friends and stuff, but like let a girl reconcile without an audience. Like,
Right,
come
right,
on.
right.
Like, you don't need
Yeah.
to go. She does ultimately convince them to stay in the car and they kind of just drop her off and then they start driving around. The front desk is giving her a hard time about Reid being at the hotel. And when I first started reading this, I'm like, duh, he's got to be in like witness protection basically at this point.
Right. How did you find us?
So that I think about that. And then literally a guy in a suit comes up and takes her to the elevators. And there is a little joke between them that he isn't a witness protection.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I'm a mind reader. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
They make it up to the room, and there's a bit of a standoff between the agents, Tremizzy, and one guy that Meg nicknamed String Bean. It's just really funny. But Reid is there. He is in the room. Meg explains before Reid can get into trouble because the agents think that he like gave away their location potentially. But she tells him that she actually deciphered a code at the bottom of the letter that he wrote for her that Tremizzy had given her, and it was coordinates. And she's super smarty pants and she figured it out. So String Bean is Reid's attorney and is not super happy with the interruption, but Reid begs. He begs to be able to talk to her.
Yes.
We love it. I loved that. I loved that part. String Bean concedes and they get to have their big love confession. Yay! Meg reassures Reid that everything is going to be okay, and he's so relieved by this. He tells her he really wanted to try and call her, but he couldn't remember her phone number, and he's like distressed about this. Like he's a numbers guy, and he was so upset that he did not have her phone number memorized to be able to call her once his phone
I was like, I
was
have
taken
no
away.
one's number memorized.
I could tell you my best friend's phone number from like first grade, probably still. But
Oh yeah.
Not anybody.
Like I had to make a concerted effort to memorize Jared's phone number like a few years ago because I was like, I have to write it down a lot, and it's probably important. I should know it.
Start having to fill out paperwork for kids stuff, and you're like, oh, I gotta memorize this actually.
Yeah.
But Reid, he feels so guilty for dragging her through all of this, just having her even be connected. And he talks about even regretting after the first time he went and saw her a couple months prior, and how he feels guilty that he even kind of kept seeing her after that. He knew that this was coming, and he knew that anyone close to him or involved with him could potentially have some pretty severe backlash. So he feels terrible, and he wouldn't blame her if she was doubting him. And she tells him that, I've been hiding something from you too. I love you. That's like what she said. She's like, I've been hiding something from you too. I'm in love with you as well. It's this love declaration is followed by him repeating back to her, I love you too. And there's a big old smoochy kiss. Very cute little kiss here. He tells her he'll do whatever he can to fix the things with her business. And she tells him that that's not his job and that she'll fix things herself. She then tells him that she did get the make it happen job, but she's turning it down and that she has other plans for her business. She tells him she isn't concerned about being part of what he's going through because she wants to help get him through it. She wants to do this together. He tells her he's not going to leave New York City because he loves it there now, because he loves her.
Oh my God, I have two more quotes.
Okay, let's hear. Yeah.
Okay. But there's also all those numbers in my letter to you. Every place we ever went to together. I love those places. It's like I said, Meg, I would have kept those places close to me forever, even if you'd never wanted to see me again. So in the bottom of the letter, he put the coordinates for every place they visited together, like to look at signs. And then he also put the coordinates of the hotel. So the one that didn't match, or that she didn't know, that's how she knew where to go.
That's how she figured it out. Yeah.
But so yeah, he listed everywhere they went together. And then at the end of this chapter, Meg goes, Reid, I whisper to him, it wasn't a mistake. No, he says, resting his forehead against mine. It was a sign. I was like, stop!
So cute. My God. It was so cute.
Yeah.
So we get to the epilogue of the story. It's about a year and a half later, and Meg didn't think that she'd be back in the wedding business, but here she is. She's doing all the hand lettering things for Sibby and Elijah's wedding. Sibby and Meg have worked really hard to repair their relationship, and they don't shy from the more difficult conversations anymore. And Meg's going to be in Sibby's wedding, so yay! Things are going much better.
Yeah.
Lachelle is now part owner of the stationery store, and Meg is selling her own line of journals, planners, stickers, and stationery. And the store is also supplying those and having she has her own little cute table set up in the store of all of her own personally designed stuff. Lark moved back. Thank you. Lark moved back to LA without that jerk Cameron, and she still stays in touch with Meg. Reid helped Meg get this new business venture started as somewhat as a thank you for staying by his side through the trial, which was pretty difficult for him. And it was a way to show his appreciation for her. So he gave her some like financial backing to get her business started, which was a little bit of contention between the two of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But he ultimately was like, listen, you really helped me out and you've really supported me. So let me do something to support you, basically.
Right. It's just a loan. For the love
I
of
know.
God.
Just accept the money. Their relationship thus far has not been super easy breezy, but they have a strong foundation, and Meg has learned the art of arguing, which has just made their relationship stronger. Reid is now guest lecturing at some local colleges about the highly entertaining mathematical world of math, and he's loving it. He comes to pick Meg up from the shop for dinner. That morning, she had left him a little code in a note before he had left. And it's a sassy little code that she left him.
Yeah.
And he gives her
We don't know what it says, but I'm like, what?
No, but he's giving her like his bedroom eyes and voice.
Yeah.
And he says good again, which was just nice way to end that part. And she's very happy that he has become so good at deciphering her own codes. The end.
Yay! We did it!
I know.
Whole book in one episode. Can you believe it? Can you believe? We did it.
Round of applause for us. Way to go. One thing I do have to add really quick, though. The word swoonch is 20 times in that book, and that's full 20 times too many. I never want to hear that word ever again in my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That was a lot. Well, how do you feel? How do you feel right now?
You know, it really took me a long time to get into this book. I didn't really like Meg at the beginning. I wasn't really sure where things were going. It felt really dramatic unnecessarily at quite a few points. But overall, like it took me a while to get into it, but once I did, it was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah.
How'd you feel?
There were parts I really liked, and then there were parts that I really didn't like. And so it was hard for me to figure out how much I like this book overall.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I was trying to remember too. I wish I could remember when I started liking it more. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, what was the thing that made me happy? But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. It was actually probably for me when she got her period because I felt like her personality, she was a lot more funny. Like her commentary seemed a little bit more interesting. And for me personally, this book really does go into her looking at letters in specific fonts. And I got to the point where I was like, I understand that this is a major personality trait. It's literally her job, but I'm a little bit over reading about her thought process on this stuff, like over and over. Like that just got a little tedious to me and I didn't care that much about it. Like I understood how it was part of the story and why it was important, but I was just was over it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So
every time she walked around, there were a lot of words, a lot of description of what she was seeing and doing all this stuff. I think I agree. Like I was thinking when he asked her what she's doing on Saturday. And then I think the next part is when she starts her period and they're doing their thing. I also really liked the turning point of when Michelle told her that she needs to learn how to fight with people. Like I felt that was a huge, like made a difference in the book too. But yeah, I ended up really liking Reid and her together, and I didn't think I would at first.
Yeah, not only did they seem odd separately, but they also seemed like an odd fit together. Just they describe her as being definitely artistic and kind of quirky. I mean, she wears like a Hello Kitty dress to her friend's anniversary party, which just some odd quirky things about her where he just seems very serious, very buttoned up. And it was very much that like opposites attract kind of thing, but they're also both kind of weird neurotic about things, so they have more in common than maybe surface level what you originally thought as well.
Yeah, I agree. And we don't know really what Reid is like because he was under such extreme pressure
for the
whole book.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
well, yeah. What'd you rate this?
Well, I probably gave it like 3 to 3.5 love letters. Is probably what I would give it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
3 wedding programs instead of stars.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, again, I liked their relationship. If it was just that in a vacuum, I was like leaning toward 4, but then kind of thinking about like Sibby and being kind of such a bad friend.
Yeah.
And, like, she's not a girl's girl, you know what I mean? That's not
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And just Meg's, like, weird obsession with some stuff or, like, being so judgy of people. I didn't
Mhm.
like those things, so I
Yeah.
was also like, "Why does this 350-page book feel like it's 1,000 years long? I just want like, why are all these chapters 30 minutes?
Yeah,
Make them
'cause
go
that's the
faster."
there was only, like, 21 chapters that it's
Yeah.
and I feel like cadence for romance books is usually a little bit quicker than that. Like, you could have a
Mhm.
300-page romance that's, like, 50 chapters. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
joking, and this was more less than half of that and
Yeah.
quite a bit
But this
longer.
really
So
yeah, it didn't feel like a full-on romance, so obviously it was a romance
right.
book, but there was a lot more relationships with a lot of meat to them, where
Right. It
usually
was
you don't always get that. Maybe one other relationship or something that the
Mhm. Yeah,
characters are working through, but
it was a lot more focused on kind of Meg's own character growth with being able to learn how to argue with people or stand up for herself or have a
Mhm.
confrontation. And that was, I almost feel like that was equally part of the theme of the book. Like you said, that conversation with Lachelle was a total turning point in the book. And it made it more interesting because she felt very, I don't know, just kind of she just kind of let things happen to her, it seemed like, in her life. And she didn't have a whole
Right.
lot of real deep, meaningful conversations with people until that happened. So it was needed
Yeah.
for sure. For sure. So,
Agreed. Okay.
mhm.
What was your spice rating?
I give it like a 1, 2, maybe 1, honestly. The ones,
Yeah.
the one scene that we did fully get was, it was good. It wasn't overly,
Right, right, right.
yeah. Yeah. What
Yeah,
would you
I was
say?
leaning toward 2
Yeah.
just because it existed at all, but
That's true. Yeah.
but yeah, then I'm like, maybe that's a 1. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this did feel very, very tame, like,
Mhm.
so 1 to
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
for sure. Not
Yeah.
above 2, but I don't
No.
know where I wanna go with that.
Yeah. Maybe 1.5 because it exists, and there was,
Yeah.
like, another somewhat scene in there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. I did enjoy that part. The it was good. It was good.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Quality, quality.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like a nice if you're going to church, you could read
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. And not blush or,
Not be sweating.
yeah. Ah,
Alright, well, I'm proud of us, and
I am
it can be
too.
done. We can do a
Mhm.
book in 1 episode.
Holy shit.
Can be.
Way
I
to
think we
go,
coulda done
us.
it before. We're old. We're
Yeah.
tired.
No, I can't stay up that late.
Alright, well, we hope I don't know, you liked it,
Mhm.
us
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah. We
You
hope
could read
so.
it,
You
but you
could.
don't have to.
Nah, you can just listen to this. It's fine. You'll get the gist of it. We went over
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
important details for sure.
You know what? I mean, this might have been more entertaining than reading it.
Yeah. Well,
Ugh,
thank you
alright.
guys. We appreciate you. We love you.
Yeah, on to the
Like,
next.
yep. Like, comment, subscribe. We're
Yeah.
talking about some real smut in our next episode. Eek.
Yep. I got a lot of recommendations at the end of that.
And then I realized my list has some yikes that I wish I would have avoided. So it's a
Mhm.
commentary on knowing when to stop reading the smut.
Yeah. Trust your instincts.
Yep. Follow your gut. You're usually right.
Yes. All right.
All right. Well, thanks,
Well,
guys.
love ya.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.
We did it.